Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. This week, it's straightforward. Patch 5.3 spoilers. If you haven't done Patch 5.3 yet, or if you're still working through even the earlier parts of the game, if you're a newer player who's discovered this, it is full-on spoiler territory from here. You have thusly been warned. So with that, let's get started. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Happy. Of course, Sly. He's here every week also. You knew he was going to be here.
I'm here.
Hi, Sly.
Yep.
Hey, we got to get talking about this stuff, man. We got to do it.
Yeah, so get after it then. Let's go.
Which means we need number 3. Ethys.
Good day. I am your law boy for the evening, and I am here basically solely and specifically to explain what the hell is up with Ellentill.
All right. Can I get that on your resume? Can you put that on your resume?
It's already there. It's been there for 72 hours?
Okay.
Just 72?
No.
Just 72?
No, it's
you
been
can go
a
all
bit
the way
more
back to
than that.
2.1 if you want, but that's up to
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say like 2.1, 2.2. Yeah.
That would be a lie. In 2.1, 2.2, it said it was like the first dot on my resume, and it was like, pretty sure I know what's up with Ellentill. And that was a lie.
Okay. At least you're honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about that. All those gigs, all those sweet gigs that I got specifically for that skill and that knowledge. No, I'm not sorry.
Okay.
Get wrecked.
All right. Well, before we get into that, we have to do our usual sponsor readouts, shout outs, all that stuff. Steel Series, thank you for sponsoring this show as you have been. There's free giveaways in the description of every YouTube video. We've had lots of winners over the years, and go enter because it's free stuff and it supports the sponsor and it lets them know that you're hanging, you're watching, and you're supporting. So always good stuff. Thanks, Steel Series. Of course, we have our Patrons of Darkness now. I'm going to do the extended shout out later, but we have names that are missing on that list. I have confirmed that it's not reading from the document. The document is updated, but it's not updating the names for some reason. I have no idea why. So we'll do an extended shout out a little bit later to cover some other names that have been added to that list. But we'll be doing that later. Their names are scrolling in the top right. Thank you to them as well. Okay. I have no idea where to start. I don't know if you want to get the easy stuff out of the way or...
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Look, we can easily spend an hour talking about just like circling around MSQ stuff. So I think it would be smart to ease our way in by talking about Yorha. Mostly so that I can just like get all the salt out of the way and give everyone in the YouTube comments the opportunity to just like get me blasted on that Yoko Taro stan, and we can just get that out of the way and move on.
What are we looking at? Like a minute, 30 seconds?
I think we're already done. I think I just did it.
Okay, perfect. All right. MSQ then.
So, yeah, I said this last week. The raid's fine, but the story and the lore is still not very interesting. So I'll give them this. They've created room to do something, one thing interesting, room for one singular aspect to potentially be interesting in the third one.
Please.
And that is that the robots are trying to create souls. That's the only thing that's in the data logs. The stuff. It's
okay.
Kind of trying to make souls.
I really hate it, and it really frustrates me when people are talking about this collab and start conflating the canon. Like, we know that Yoko Taro said like he's treating this as a sequel to Nier Automata. Doesn't work backwards. It doesn't mean that everything that happened in Nier Automata is canon to 14. That said, isn't the whole point of Nier Automata that the robots already have souls?
Well, some
Isn't
of the
that
robots
like
have souls, but now Yorha's robots are trying to emulate that and make souls. Like the 2P clone is they were trying to, all the things that leave is like the attempt at a soul kind of thing. Okay.
So they're like anima weapons.
Well, they're trying to do it not synthetically. They're trying to literally create a brand new... They're trying... I don't know how to describe it, but they're trying to do it in a way that doesn't emulate the anima weapon. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So
okay. I think that's giving him a lot of credit. Look, I I feel a little bit guilty because when 2P betrayed us, I very sarcastically announced, "Oh my god, the ones in white are the bad guys and the ones in black are the good guys. How subversive, how clever." And then someone pointed out to me, "Yo, Ethys, that's like the whole premise for Shadowbringers, dog." And I was like, touche.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's the Yoko Taroism." Instantly, as soon as that happened, I was like, "Yeah, it is."
Yeah, and honestly, like that works for me. Okay, all right. I'm gonna get this out of the way. My major complaint, of course, like the raids are great, the fights are great, the music absolutely fucking slaps. Like it's so good. I love it. It's awesome. That said, ever since A Realm Reborn, the 24-man raid series has always been one of the major vehicles for world building, and for lore, and for setting up the wider world, tying in with old content, laying the stones for new content, stuff to come. The 24-man has always been that. And now for a whole expansion, it feels like we don't get that from Shadowbringers. Now, to be fair, we are getting that in a major way from Boja, and we're getting that in a major way from Whirlit. And I'm stoked with both of those, and we will talk about both of those real soon. So I think that we're given compensation for that, but it's just like coming in based on the expectations that we've had on all the other 24-mans. It's a little bit frustrating. It's a little bit frustrating.
Chat your band. You said to be fair.
9S fair.
You're all bad. That's it.
Yeah, so that's where I'm coming from. I enjoy it. I think like as raids, I'm sure you guys covered all this last week. Like the fights are fun. The hallway that you go down with those ads like shooting the lasers at you and doing the bullet hell thing, like that was honestly like one of the highlights, like mechanically one of the highlights of Shadowbringers for me. And I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. Give me more of this. Yeah, the story and lore is where it is, and there's not really much to spoil.
Hey, with that whole Souls thing, maybe if Beck Luke gets involved, I mean, she's got plenty of time on their hands now. Like, there's like just kind of whatever. They're like, all right, I guess I'll go home to, what else am I gonna do? Maybe they loop in and we get some more interesting soul talk. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not optimistic about that. My favorite thing about this is when I've heard people say, "Oh, the 24-mans don't usually have that much implication," and I'm like,
excuse me?
Have you seen Ethys?
Have you played Shadowbringers?
Yeah. Have you done any of them? No.
I've had quite a few people say that like, oh, I mean, I find the lore a lot more interesting, or like the story a lot more interesting in this one, and I'm like, okay.
Sorry, what?
Okay. All right.
Or are you about to say Sly? What are you about to say, Sly?
Oh, no. I'm just saying, like, that just seems awful.
Could have ended the conversation there.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Yorha out of the way. One more try. Maybe two. Maybe they do like those two in between quests again, because the cliffhanger they left on was really shitty.
Yeah.
Not even a fucking cliffhanger. What are you talking about? It was just a quest, and then
just like petered out. I was like, what? Wait, where's the objective marker?
Where's the where's the other quest? And
no, that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
We got to play fake detective, and then she left. And took 9S with her. And that's it. So Yorha, third tries the charm. That's it. That's all we got on that story or lore wise. So you mentioned some of the other ones. Obviously, we can't talk about Bajra yet. We'll have to do similar to what we did with 5.25. We could probably have a whole show about just what's developing there lore wise and everything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So instead, let's go to the other side and go to Whirlit, another one that's probably going to be a little quicker to talk about. This was really good. They did a lot in very little time with Whirlit. Shockingly.
Yeah.
I was satisfied.
Would you say very little time? Because I feel like they had this up their sleeve for a while.
Well, I mean, they got a lot told in the amount of time it took to complete the Whirlit side quest.
Oh, okay.
And it never felt like dragged out or unnecessary or anything. Yeah, it was very dense.
Yes. Oh geez, where do you guys want to start with this? Because there's a couple of like key.
The fucking robot.
So yeah, Sid's smug fucking look when he's like, "Look what I did."
Isn't it interesting that it is literally the Ultima Warrior?
Yep, it's not
because we were looking at it and we're like, yeah. We thought it was like a reskin, and obviously, you know, it is a reskin, but it's literally a reskin. He took it from Azazlar and put it back together. So for those of you who aren't necessarily familiar, we fought it in Fractal hard mode.
Yes,
Fractal
the first boss of Fractal hard mode, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, first boss of Fractal hard mode. It's another proto Ultima. So before the ultimate weapon was finished with the Heart of Sabik, they were looking at like other ways to imbue these weapons with like primal abilities or whatever. Proto Ultima is one of them. The Ultima Warrior is another one, and Sid's just basically taken it and retrofitted it, and that's the G Warrior. And the G Warrior is so ridiculously overpowered. Like, okay, I know this is a massive oversimplification, but it took us like in canon several months to liberate Alamigo. And this is after like years and years and years and years of build up to meet the perfect conditions for that to happen, right? And with this thing, we just drift into Turncliffe, and just like in 20 minutes, we've just like kicked the Guardians out. Job done. Onto the next town. This thing's got to go. The next weapon has got to just like wipe the floor with G Warrior, I think.
You've just described at least 12 super robot.
I knew he was gonna fucking say exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you're like the robot waifu expert, Sly. So what's your critical analysis of the G Warrior?
Well, I like the fact that it wasn't something that the Ironworks built. It's a relic. It's a relic, but at the same time, Sid gave it his little, Ironworks kick. So it's not a super, it's not a real, it's a hybrid, and I love that. I fucking love that.
It also means it can't be replicated. So when it is like taken out of action, then that's it. It's not a Chekhov's gun that Sid can replicate.
But I am waiting on the moment in, I guess, another patch when we tap into its hidden potential, because I believe that there's something hidden. Oh,
he's already said there's more potential. He said, no, we're going to keep upgrading this shit. Are you kidding me? We're not done.
No, it's not just the Sid part, but it's just whatever potential it had while it was in Az's Law, that's just going to manifest itself, and it's just going to turn into like Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann or something like that.
It's still going to lose though.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced. That thing is going to be in another. That's going to be like the gob tank of A2 for one of the fights at some point. No doubt about that. It's going to be like you need to like be in its shield to like survive attacks, or like you need to be in its buff. It's like buff barrier to like to do stuff like that.
Well, then there's got to be some other reason why it doesn't work on the next weapon.
What if there's an oversoul within G Warrior that we can survive?
But that's redundant, because the point of oversoul is to give it the like
it's automation.
It's automation, but it's to make up for like the abilities of the pilot, to give it the powers of like these legendary warriors. And we're the fucking warrior of light. Yeah. Like, whose oversoul are we gonna use?
It'd be like Nero piloting one, and then over souling. I'm sorry.
Well, no,
nail.
It would be like, yeah, right, yeah. It'd be like Nail piloting the ruby weapon and being like, I better activate my Nail dance. Oh wait, never
That's
mind.
me.
It's me, baby. So
I mean, we're hot shit, but
we are hot shit. Thanks for noticing.
We're hot shit, but there has to be something within Az's law that I don't know. I think we just.
I'd like to remember that thing could absorb, just like the weapons we're dealing with. It absorbed combat data when we fought it as the second boss. It used Warring Triad combat data.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it did.
So then, I did correct myself and say it was the second boss because the first boss was the USB stick.
Right. Yeah.
Hard. Yeah, I'd forgotten.
Yeah. Oh, how could you forget that one? How could you possibly forget that one?
The giant USB stick of porn.
The most memorable boss in the whole game.
The porn stash is the first boss. As the slaw's like, delete it. That's it.
Oh shit.
Oh.
All right. Well, that's the G Warrior. What did you guys think of Turncliffe? Between, I think this is really interesting. Between Whirlit and Bojar, we've seen most of southern Ilzabad now. And we were being told, before Shadowbringers, was like, oh yeah, you guys are going to be moving into Ilzabad, you're going to be moving towards Garlemald. And then, of course, when we found out we were going to Novigrad, we were like, why would you lie to us about that? So it's interesting that we've been getting it through content like this. It's kind of ticking a few boxes off our sightseeing log, if you will. What did you guys think? Did you guys explore it a bit, talk to the NPCs and stuff?
Oh, I certainly talked to an NPC. I talked to all of them, and one of them I love in particular. Although it's one of our best boys. It's not one of the residents. What's his face? Who's got the thing with Gaius? The
Volin.
Yeah. His quote.
Volin?
Yeah, his quote where he says, "I feel like there was a much easier way to have beaten that thing. Maybe blast its head off with a cannon or something."
Yeah. I knew you would have liked that. Well, I guess let me see some facts about Whirlit. I guess. I know he had an approximate date for the invasion. Where is it?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I could have swore that they said they just say for the last however many years, blah blah blah. Oh, they mention. I think you're talking about the wife's dialogue, who mentions the husband who died. I think it is.
Yes, that might be it.
I think she's like, my husband died fighting however many years ago, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy used to call myself a doctor. Epidemic came 10 years ago.
That's the epidemic, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. Chat seems to be remembering 20 years being in one of the dialogue options.
Now, I thought I had recorded all the dialogue options. We know most of the townsfolk are either Hure natives or Al-Ra, who basically migrated.
Yeah.
This guy talks about an invasion. He doesn't seem to be giving us a specific year.
There might be another dialogue because it might have been around because Chet's mentioning it might have been around the time Alamigo was annexed.
Yeah, it was definitely before that. So 20 years is the absolute most recent it can be. Alamigo was about 20 years ago.
Yeah,
depending who you ask. I mean, I really want this to be a zone now. I really want an excuse to spend more time in Turncliffe. It just looks so different to any of the other cities that we've been to. With that real Mediterranean aesthetic, and I don't know. I want a zone here.
Yeah, a few other fun notes. They said that where the town is built actually sucks because they're right next to the water, but they can't do anything.
They can't do anything with it.
Yeah. They're just like, all right, well, that's down there. We're up here, and Yeah, this place kind of sucks, guys. They love
it. If anyone's wondering, it's named Turncliff because it's a cliff on which terns nest. Terns are like they're gulls, basically. They're related to seagulls.
Yeah.
And you can see a little bit of iconography around, based presumably on the terns, as well as some kind of fish, some kind of jumping fish. I don't know. But
I hope these birds look as good as the A Realm Reborn birds we've been seeing since we got flying.
Oh, I'm at least as good. Are you kidding me?
Did you? Fun fact about those birds: they have as many polygons as a player model.
Truly?
No, I'm just making the joke because it's literally the opposite of the pots from 1.0.
Could you imagine it? How mad would you be if we got up there and it actually was like the pots in 1.0 and it had like 10 billion polygons?
I'd be impressed that the game runs so smoothly with that.
Actually, no, I think I'd be kind of impressed too. All right, I want to talk about Vordelin, so I'm just going to steer us over to there. We have not had a MSQ Duskwhite character, period.
Right.
In 1.0, Urianger and Estinian both used Duskwhite models, but they were never like canonically Duskwhite. We had, a Duskwhite antagonist in the Lancer quest line. In ARR, we've had some Duskwhite assassins in the Heavensborn Astro quests. Travage may have been a Duskwhite model. I'm not sure about that one. But when I saw Vordelin, I see some Maccas there.
She just came back with
hell yeah, my dude. Yeah.
I never eat fast food unless she is eating fast food.
Fling us some chips, bro. I don't believe you for a second.
Excuse me, but these are French fries.
French fries. Okay. We call it Maccas, by the way. That's trademarked in Australia. Vordelin, yeah, okay. So when I first saw this character, I was like, this dude kind of looks like a Duskwhite, but he can't be a Duskwhite. He's got to be like some kind of Ilzabardian elf clan that we haven't encountered before. And no, he's a freaking Duskwhite. He's a Galmarin baby. He's my boy. He's my cousin.
Officially
like literally
more than Palace of the Dead.
Oh my god. So he lived in the fringes. The fringes, a lot of you guys may or may not know, but the western part of the fringes was Gridanian territory. The border between the Twelves Woods and Girabanya was the Veladina River, which is that big river going down the middle of the fringes with the waterfall and the bridge and the castrum and all that. And it was when Alamigo crossed that river that the Autumn War began, because that was seen as a declaration of war on Gridania. So Baelsar's wall wasn't built until after the Calamity, and all through 1.0, incursions into the Eastern Shroud were really, 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 really common, basically because Gaius wasn't hiding behind the wall. So there were a lot of Duskwhite that were living in this area, and Vordelin was fighting against them with his fellow Duskwhite. He says 20 years ago, shortly after the fall of Alamigo, they were the first line of defense for the Twelveswood, basically. His whole family got slaughtered. His village was decimated. And the survivors were taken to Bittermill to become the test subjects for Black Rose, which we know was being used there by a scientist under the command of Gaius. Gaius, when he saw what was happening and he saw what was happening to these test subjects and found out what it could do, he buried it. He literally buried it, and it poisoned that area. But Vordelin ended up joining the Order of the Twin Adder to basically get revenge on the Imperials, and specifically on Gaius and Gaius's Legion. And he joined us in Operation Archon. He came into the Praetorium behind us and came across Gaius. who is, limping his way out on the verge of death and was about to kill him until Gaius basically said, like, yeah, fine, kill me as soon as I've killed the Asians.
Yep.
And basically pleaded his case, and Vordelin was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, and now the agreement is as soon as Gaius does what he set out to do, his life is in, Vordelin's hands. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And it's going to be really interesting to see where that leads.
Especially with the MSQ when we get to that, because I think our boy Gaius is definitely coming back into the MSQ when all's said and done.
Yeah. So that was... We'll come to the other really interesting character in a moment, but I just remembered something else that's really, really, really important here. The Heart of Sabik in the Japanese localization has been called, since the beginning of ARR, Black Orosite Sabik. And we've been working under the assumption that it is Orosite, that it has a relation to the sort of primal absorbing Orosite that we used on the 13th shard that resulted in that basically becoming the Void. Sid's confirmed this. He's like, yeah, the Heart of Sabik is an Orosite, some kind of Orosite. The synthetic Orosite is trying to basically like replicate those properties. So now we have what I'm considering a pretty clear relationship, and something that I'm exploring in an Evil East video that I'm working on. We got a relationship from Ultima Magic, Ultima Weapon, back to the High Seraph Ultima herself and the Orosites. And the Heart of Sabik is part of that. The Orosite and the Void is part of that. The Lucavi Orosite is part of that. Then the Zodiac Stones, maybe, and Ultima and Altima, and some conflation there. And there's something going on there. We were talking about in the pre-show about how people talk about Evil East, the 24-man, being like, oh, they never deliver any like world building or whatever. No. There is something really, really big here, and we're pretty close to it. So this is another piece of the puzzle. So that was an important one. But the thing that everyone's really focusing on here is when this guy's so gross. This guy is so gross.
Valens.
Yeah, I saw the sweat and I was like, ew. And then I saw the milk and I was like, ew. And then I saw the children and the cages for the children lining the side of his room, and I was like, "Oh!" And then I saw the way that he was talking.
Ethys,
yeah,
you're focusing on all that, but think of all the milk lore we got. He went into rich detail on the lore of the milk. About how there's only like 100 cows ever at a time that can produce it. As soon as their milk dries up, they're slaughtered.
Yeah, and then the Aura girl, Ellie, I think her name is. And then what
Allie?
He was saying, Allie, sorry, yeah, and then what he was saying to her, and I was like, I was feeling so uncomfortable through this thing, and I just became like increasingly more and more uncomfortable the more this character unfolded in front of us, which I think in and of itself constitutes like a fantastic introduction for this antagonist.
You hate him immediately.
Yeah, but he's also the other side of the coin to Gaius. Gaius also had a protege who he basically adopted in the same way as he adopted these Aura kids that ended up becoming his lover in Livia. He also collected children of foreign provinces that he conquered to groom as his, soldiers and taskmasters and whatever, in the forms of, Ratatan and of course the Aura kids. And Valens is like Valens van Varo is his name, which is a great
name.
Oh, such a good name. He was like
almost as good as the milk.
He's like Shadow Gaius, you know, he's like Dark Gaius. Yeah, and the Crania Loopy chat makes a really good point.
He's Gaius's Persona 4 Shadow.
Yeah.
There he is.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Whatever you say.
Sly knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course. Sly knows what you're talking about better than you know what you're talking about.
He does. That's a fact. He's Yami Gaius. No, Yami Yugi was cool.
Oh, God.
All right, it was Yami, other fucking guy whose name I can't remember, who was a batshit crazy maniac. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Gaius. Yeah.
I just really, we've been waiting for such a long time to have like the other Legatuses fleshed out for us, and now we've got Valens and Noah seeming like really, really strong, interesting characters.
They're also all fucking nuts. What the fuck is going on? Like, Emmett
I don't think Noah's nuts. I don't think Noah's nuts.
He's still pretty nuts. He's
just ambitious.
And yeah.
This guy's just a psychopath.
But Garlemald needs to stop making psychopaths. What needs to happen, because they've got enough of them. I'd argue Gaius
but that was the whole point.
Was still a psychopath until he got played.
But that was the whole point. Like, the whole Garlean project was to put people in positions of power who were these like independent, free-thinking psychopaths that were given no restraints to just do whatever the fuck they wanted. That's the whole point of the Garlean project.
Everybody we've dealt with from Garlemald and how they've had
Regula
some
was fine.
Specific issue.
Regula was fine. Regula was loyal, but he said, "Okay, no, this is useless. Let's just
Regula was different because he was Varys's bitch.
That's true.
Yeah.
Everyone else was put where they were by Solace specifically.
That's very true.
For this confluence of chaos.
Valens, actually, I don't know, because Solace hadn't passed yet when Gaius was, when the 14th was destroyed.
When Nail,
yeah. So, and also,
so we don't know about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't know about that one for sure. But yeah, that's a good point. Is the Legatus of the 7th Imperial Legion, so he's taken over Nail's position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Eula's position, but
yeah,
technically,
we'll just say Nail.
We'll just say Nail. Yeah, for the sake of
she would want that
expedition. That's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Again, crazy as fuck. Oh man.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, Regula's dead. Now we killed him twice, as far as I'm concerned.
We're gonna lay the perfect trap for Valens. What we got to do is we got to go out to the Whirlit dairies and just kidnap like every one of these cows.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like poison the milk or something.
Poison the milk. That'd work. Yeah, that's pretty good.
You just have to make sure like he claims a cow for his own, and then just feed it. Just I don't know what's a plant. What's a deadly plant? Eucalyptus. We'll go back
Nightshade.
to pre-show.
Eucalyptus. That'll do it. Yeah. It'd have to be a lot of eucalyptus.
Yeah.
So my prediction is, and I just want to like put my money on the table here because this is guaranteed to like pay out in spades for me, no doubt. The final weapon of this series is going to be a giant cow. It's going to be like a giant cow.
And who's the oversoul? Yeah. The cow boss from Diablo 2.
the cow king. Moo moo.
I mean, it could even be Holy Cow from Eureka.
That's true. That's true.
You stand no chance. I mean, moo. Yeah. No, they did a great job with Valens in that I really want him dead, like ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
Now up to with Nail, we had someone who was very reminiscent of Sephiroth. It's kind of again going to all the legions. We always end up bringing this back up. They always have characters reminiscent of the game, but I wonder if that ends up holding true with Valens, because he's crazy, but I don't know if he's like Hojo crazy or. It's kind of hard to tell if they're even looking at that kind of mentality with them, because we see relations with the other legions, even if they don't directly belong to the game. Like Gabranth not being the 12th legion, he's the 4th.
Who? Noah? Noah's the 4th.
Yeah. But we had Varys for the 12th. initially, and he's looking to go the line of Vayne Solidor with everything that's going on right now. So I'm curious to see if they hold any of that true in any way.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that. I mean, I could see like a little bit of Hojo in him just by being like a complete creep,
but not his actual ambition.
No, I don't remember Hojo like doing shirtless push-ups in his office.
Yeah, but he was at the beach macking on. He was at the beach macking on ladies, though.
Although now I'm picturing it, and I wish it was so.
So, like, honestly, I'd say he's closer to Sang than anyone.
Oh fuck!
Sort of.
You think so?
Sang unloses his mind, especially in remake.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's Patrick Bateman. Don't say that.
Oh god!
Don't say that. We don't need that.
No.
Yeah, someone's right. He's probably like a Gundam villain, or like a some sort of like anime villain trope. Slides.
I mean, he's definitely a trope. He's definitely like tropey. He's definitely,
but specifically for like that anime genre trope, like he's probably referencing. Yeah, Sly figured out who it was instantly, and he's googling it as we speak.
Fuck, who was it? Oh my god! Oh, it's gonna
Shinji's
kill me
dad.
No, he's not Gendo. He's not Gendo. No, fuck that. Oh, God.
That guy is Shinji's dad.
Brought me so much joy.
Fuck, and I know it. Was it from Zeta?
Oh, my weeb senses are tingling.
I think it was from Zeta. Maybe. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, I like Chad. He wishes he was Gendo.
Oh god.
Oh man. Hey Sly, there's like 4 people watching that care, so don't worry if you can't think of it.
On YouTube,
exactly.
There's more.
Andre, thank you. Andre, thank you. Yes, it was Shirako. That's who it was.
All right.
Yes.
Can you make any predictions based on that conclusion?
Oh, we're gonna fuck him up.
Well, obviously we're gonna fuck him up.
We're gonna fuck him up. But yeah,
right.
Shirako was pretty seedy. Pretty fucking seedy. The exact same as Valens. So,
okay.
No, not Haman. Definitely not Haman.
I have no idea what's happening.
Do we even have a Haman?
Same boat as you.
Do we even have a fucking Haman? Who would be Haman? Nobody. Okay, never mind.
We have Haman
Sorry,
Holyfist.
Go ahead.
That's true. We do have a Haman Holy Fist. Yeah.
That works for me. He's got 100 fists and everything. Yeah.
The first thing that came into my head when I saw him drinking that milk, I don't know why, was just like the generic like Skyrim Stormcloak voice, just going, you milk drinker.
Don't worry, I'll revoice that scene with Kermit the Frog. Well, revoice it. Doesn't have voice acting in the first place.
I could imagine Valen sounding like Kermit.
It's like one of those things where they don't speak and they're super like scary, and then they go like, it'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
And you let Gaius Van Belsar of all people get the better review.
You let Gaius get the better review? Oh no! Oh, that's I'm gonna have to punish you for that. That's not gonna fly. Yeah, not to mention he sent someone into his beating room. He's just like, just go wait for me.
Yeah, right. It was what did he say? It wasn't his beating room.
Chamber,
it was like his punishment
chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah, go wait for me in my sex dungeon. You naughty boy. You naughty little boy.
It's not easy being Garlean. There we
go. Holy fuck.
Yeah, dude, this... Okay. I don't know that I even want to see more of him, because I think I've seen too much as it is.
Yeah.
It's a rough spot to be in. Oh, but we gotta kick his ass. I hope a Gaius versus Valens 1v1 happens at some point, with Borderlane watching, just being like, as soon as he wins.
Yeah. Guy's just like beating him with a cat of nine tails. You like that, you filthy boy.
Yeah, the problem is Valens might actually like that. Is I think the problem. He's just gonna be like, yeah, Yeah, you show me.
Oh no, not that. Don't choke me. Oh.
Little did we know that Valens had that side of him. He's more on the dominating side than the receiving side, though. So I don't think he'd throw out a choke me, daddy. Yeah. He's a sadist, not a sadomasochist. I'm glad that those terminologies were both so readily available in your vernacular.
Come on, he might be a switch, all right? Okay.
Lore, by the way.
Yeah, lore.
Lore.
No.
So that's World. Is there anything else in World?
No, let's just get off of this.
Get off, not the right choice of words, by the way.
Yeah, fuck me.
I will
That's
say
not
this.
the right choice of words.
I will say this. When I think of things we lost dungeons for, I think of things like Turncliffe and the dream world of Bajja and stuff like that. That readily comes to mind. Something that's still world building, but not necessarily in my face as part of the roulette I never do. So
Are we okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. All right. Good.
Everyone's okay with that. I'm just glad that it feels like it's still being moved into world building.
Mm-hmm.
World building and lore. Like I really like the dream sequence from Bajja. That was fantastic in my opinion. I just wish again, other than New Game Plus, I really wish I could do these things more readily, like a simulation of the Sapphire weapon, like just for fun's sake, you know what? Or even fuck it, do an extreme simulation of Sapphire with the fucking robot 1v1. I don't care.
Yeah, why not just tune it up?
There you go. We already had like a practice thing in the middle of the ocean. I'll take a simulation of that. Gold saucer game incoming. G-type gold saucer game. Well, G would mean gold for saucer, but yeah. There you go. I'm okay with this. Okay, so that's Whirl. Oh, and dude who jerks off to fighting robots and weapons and shit is still just jerking off in the locks. Also, just want to throw that out there.
He's gonna love Valens.
Dude, he might even actually be Valens, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, shit.
It's just he's undercover in the locks. That's how they knew to move all the weapons away from Turncliffe before we got there.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's it. That's the lore. We figured it out. That guy's Valens. He's just like,
I'm done. I'm sorry. How's he like?
He just sits there, just like he's just tweaking the whole time.
You're making like gang signs or something?
No. Like he's like huddled over, just like. He's like the Shamblers.
Yeah, he couldn't help making the Gallian gang signs. He just gave himself away.
Yeah, and where's Nero? And when's Nero show up and like, I made a better one, Sid? And we're like, how is that even fucking possible, Nero? How did you?
Yeah, where is Nero?
Maybe he's still following Alpha and Omega. That's the next thing. Is like Edda, when we see Edda in the cities randomly, like as a flash, you see Nero just kicking around
just
corners
from a bush.
Yeah, just from a bush. Nero, that's fine. All right, so that covers Sorrow of Whirlit. That covers Nier, I guess. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have much to say about dwarves. I haven't done them yet.
I haven't started them yet either. Sly, have you started?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
You're a crafty boy. All right, what you go for us?
What the fuck is wrong with you? Do you goddamn dwarf dailies?
Yeah,
do you know what he said last week? Do you know what he fucking
We're making
said
alcohol.
Last week? No.
What did you say last week? What did he say last week?
Do your goddamn dwarf dailies.
He said something along the lines of like, when you're thinking about spending that special night with your ladies, no, fuck that hoe, lolly hoe, do your dwarf dailies.
Lolly that hoe.
No, he said, fuck that hoe, lolly hoe, do your dwarf dailies.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's really passionate about this.
Okay.
About as passionate as when he figured out that Valens was an anime trope.
All right. So what's
so far, I really haven't dug deep into the quest. But really so far, the main thing is that Ronnet is wanting to make basically the tech that we saw in the blueprints. It's not really. It is for defense. It's to ward off sin eaters while transporting goods. So the idea came from Khuja when they were thinking about, making the grog and everything, and they needed to, transport supplies. The mechanized frog wasn't going to get it done. So they were like, well, hey, Watts had these blueprints for a tank. Like, okay, all right, fuck, we'll do that. So we're making a tank that transports goods.
So we were told before patch that it was going to be predicated by the events of the near raids. Does that tie in at all?
Well, so we didn't really so much told it would be predicated, but we were specifically told that you'll find out in Yorha, the dwarves have some problems. And I'm just like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So we're just kind of left to read between the lines there, are we?
Yeah, they weren't like...
I guess so.
I will say, myself and a lot of others definitely interpreted that because they were talking about dwarf dailies and then sidetracked to talk about Nier and how you see in the trailer the dwarves being, bombarded. But they never once said, like, this leads to this. They just, like, sidetracked at a point in the conversation where it seemed like that was the logical step. They have nothing to do with each other. As far as
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It was just two different statements way too close to each other being made.
All right.
So in other words, Nier's back to being even worse than,
it was almost relevant.
Almost. Really close. Yeah. Yeah, that's when they were also talking about Nier use up the Khuja memory.
Yeah, there's no memory
left in Khuja, yeah. Pretty dumb.
Okay. I'm sure like the dwarf dailies are gonna unfold, and there's probably gonna be some interesting story developed there. So if you're listening to this in like weeks and months down the track, then apologies we haven't gotten to it yet. We'll talk about it when we do.
Pasta.
But Sly, is there anything like there that seems compelling to you so far?
The fucking booze.
Nothing.
The booze dwarf.
Yeah.
There's a dwarf that literally you can talk to for like 10 to 15 minutes that just like teaches you all about like booze.
Really?
And the only thing being that I can't remember the dwarf from Kamra, his name, but the idea that both Ronnet and the dwarf from Kamra were both descended from Watts.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got that like common ancestry. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure the individual quests, because I remember the Pixie dailies, like obviously the whole.
I was like, thank you.
The whole Lee Meg thing and like all that was cool, but like a lot of the individual dailies had little tiny nods to things. So I'm assuming that that's there too with the dwarves. The Keekerns didn't have that so much, other than just certain things were located. I need the Allied Beast Tribe quests, so
we got a good bit of Ronkin law from the Keekern.
Well, no, I mean specifically from the daily, like the actual objective of the daily quest.
Yeah,
like we were basically told we need this for this, we need this for this, bring it back. Whereas with the Pixies, we picked up on a few more things, I felt. And we also had the dude that just stands in the fucking thing creeping on Pixies. In the fucking frog suit.
the tall Fua.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Khuja.
Well, if not beforehand, we'll definitely be coming back to these in Aelzivia, won't we?
Oh yeah.
I dare say.
Don't worry, I can't wait to lose. I can't wait to lose.
All right. Well, I think that gets all of the like peripheral stuff out of the way, doesn't it?
Unless you want to talk about the Fox Commander real quick.
He's an auspice.
Yeah.
It's an auspice, and what did you say? They're boards.
They're bored, yeah. They're like in the Rising Temple. Every time we go to tell a story, it's like, oh, I've heard that one a million times before, and it's like, I need something. So
now they're gonna retell different stories about how we whipped Shiva and like retell it over and over and over and over again.
So that's an interesting note in chat. They said the Floth Man shows up in the Dwarf dailies, so he's going to be part of the Allied Beast Tribe quest, no doubt.
Oh snap!
What if he's the What if he's the first equivalent of what's his fucking face back on the source, the Mikote?
Oh yeah, the bounty hunter that's trying to like Neuralink. Yeah.
Oh, I'm ready for it. I'm so fucking ready for it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
See, lore.
I can party with that.
Yeah, and for the Fox Commander, that's it. Rowena and everyone around says they liken him to Amaric slightly, and then they call him Commander, and he's fucking pissed. He's like, please stop, please. I've survived hundreds of years, and I don't deserve this. Amaric, what did they do to you? It's so funny. Oh man. So yeah, there's that little bit too. But other than that, the fights, obviously, there's nothing fancy to say about the actual Unreal content for lore. They went to the Wandering Minstrel school of, please tell me stuff. Not much else to say about that. But there is a lot to say about is the last thing. The thing people have been waiting for the most.
I love how you say the last thing, and this is going to be like an hour and a half.
The meat.
Oh, and also the potatoes.
It's the meat, the potatoes, the plate.
Yeah.
Everything.
The whole dang restaurant.
The table, the candle, the bread, the endless bread. The Laha bread.
Yeah, there was a bit of bread.
Oh yeah, there was, literally. That's why I brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do we want to do this? Do you want to give us like a point by point synopsis and then dive into the deep bits? Because I've got a lot to say.
Honestly, we kind of have to start with the bread.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got a lot to say, particularly about Ellentill and Azem, and I don't know when like the appropriate time to do that would be. So maybe we should just like go over everything briefly first, and then come back to it.
The activities immediately following the instance would probably be the appropriate time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So we start kind of nothing that abnormal or urgent. Kind of starting off. We listen. Let me get into it. I know where you're going with that, but just 1 second.
No, it's fine. I'm just gonna sit back.
It starts off at the very beginning with it just being like, "Yeah, we still don't know what the fuck he's on about." Like, cause we got to figure it out. But there's Tadaru wanting to make bread, and I guess have us bring it across dimensions, because that's a normal thing to do. Thankfully, it is in this case. And it's Archon loaf, and apparently it's absolutely disgusting, but nostalgic because it's maximum in nutrition.
Nutrients.
Yeah, it's all about nutrients.
It's not supposed to be disgusting. It's just not good.
It's made of fish parts and vegetables, and it's bread.
It's not great, but it's not terrible.
You know what it is?
It's like bread that tastes like nothing.
It's like
that's all it is.
It's like Vegemite and Marmite, but just the bread itself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
that's it.
It did kind of remind me of lutefisk and like a lot of standard Norwegian fare, which gave me a bit of a chuckle as we were doing this.
Yeah.
I could imagine Scandinavians eating fish bread.
I found it hilarious that the one thing Tadaru can do really well is make disgusting bread. She's like, well, I'll try being an Arcanist, I'll try mining, I'll try this, I'll try that. It's like, no, it's making disgusting bread. That's the talent.
And I love the fact that Krall had to like consult with Rambros too. Like, Rambros, can you come taste this real quick?
Yeah,
this is fucking disgusting.
It sucks, right?
Good job.
Yeah, it's
well done.
Just gross and repugnant. Good job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, you know what though, Tadaru? It's got a lot of lore. So we got milk lore and bread lore. Fortunately, we got a lot of that this patch. And then on the first, we end up mostly just trying to teach a few kids how to be warriors of light / darkness, while also dealing with the fact that the Scions are starting to really feel the effects of being on the first for as long as they have. They're fainting, lightheaded, depending on when they actually arrived. It looks like the people who arrived first were showing actual fainting, and the people who arrived later, like Alice, they were just getting like headaches or, you know, lightheaded in a sense. And that completely is irrelevant by the end of the patch. It just puts a little bit of urgency at the start of the patch to let you know, no, we really need to get them back. Like, we're out of time with this one. But the biggest talking point that people have felt okay talking about, even with avoiding spoilers, is probably what happens all around there. And that they spend an awful lot of effort talking about the art of the apothecaries. The potion maker. The people who fix all stuff. Yeah, the apothecary.
Apothecary. Yeah.
It's an interesting little tidbit. You got anything about apothecaries for us at this?
I mean, not really. Like, people looking at it and they're thinking like, oh yeah, okay, like chemist, apothecary confirmed.
I'm on that boat.
We know that in Mericidia there's like a martial discipline of witch doctor, which uses like potions and alchemical reagents and stuff like that. We know that Thavnair, they import a lot of stuff from Mericidia. They're actually the only foreign power that Mericidia trades with. And a lot of Thavnair's alchemical tradition comes from that relationship, and there are like disciplines similar to this in Thavnair as well. So this is just like another one of you know, this idea being out there of a sort of alchemy or chemistry based combat class, which is interesting. But I certainly wouldn't be expecting it in 6.0 because, you know, like we got Geomancer, we've got like other stuff that's out there that's been out there for a while.
I'm still holding out hope for Calculator. Please and thank you.
No, you're not part of this conversation anymore.
Well, that's just Arcanist.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that arithmetician and calculator is just Arcanists. You just
that's just
Arcanists. Don't know the lore.
Bro.
That's all they're doing. They're just jotting shit down in their books. That's it. Yeah. No, I see the point. I feel like it's just they spent so much effort like talking about it. It was so much like just they could have made the point way quicker, but they didn't.
Yeah, you're right. In the past, when we talked about these little, and especially with like stuff like the Rising and little nods, like, hey, what color do you prefer, red or blue, and all these things. Yeah, this kind of feels a little heavy-handed in terms of, hey, we might do this.
Yeah. We got a lot more than this on Geomancer. And someone in chat makes the point, like particularly in Heaven's Ward, we also got a lot more than this on Time Mage. Like a lot more than this.
Well, we got it in.
We got like all of Hildebrand and all of Alexander was like time magic. And then in Shadowbringers again, it's like, hey, you know, time magic is a thing, right? No, just me. Okay. So everyone jumping on Apothecary right now is like, it would be cool, but don't fall into the trap of thinking that this is like a self-evident.
No, it's definitely not self-evident.
Yeah,
it's just that this was heavy-handed in the main scenario, where stuff like Time Mage with Gigi and Alexander, it was less like an art. Like Gigi was a big mystery. When it came to Alexander, it was just like some primal magic that it was. If anything, people are like, I guess that means summoners getting time magic. Like that's what some people went right to there because they're like, oh, we got Dreadworm Trance. When did we get Colossus Stance or whatever the fuck you want to call it? When do we get to summon Alexander? That's the next logical step. Except Alexander would not be happy if we did that.
No. The next logical step is when do we summon 4 fucking Bahamut's?
That is the next logical step.
Alexander was pretty chill with Grahad Tyr and the Crystal Tower, you know, that time magic.
Yeah, I like how we were talking about all that stuff in Heavensward, and we kind of completely skirted the whole, you know, Crystal Tower thing with the twinning.
Yeah. And someone made the point in chat just a little bit ago, which is absolutely the case. Gaia uses time magic as well.
She does.
So yeah. I mean, Chemist would be pretty cool, but Yeah. Well,
We
I guess we'll
we
see
are
where that
due
leads.
another healer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now there's a bunch on the table, and it's about figuring out which one it's going to be.
Well, any of those could
Mhm.
be a healer. Like
Yeah,
any of those
exactly.
three could be a healer.
Yeah. So that's going to be the mystery. Which one will it be? Because we're almost sure we're getting a healer, and the heavy-handed apothecary really puts it in the forefront. Thankfully, more so than some of the other jobs we'll talk about in the dungeon, which is a whole different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
So after we go through a little bit of helping these, like, show these kids, oh, it's like to be a warrior of light, warrior of darkness. Watch us fight. We're gonna collect bat fangs. We realize that like Graha's like, okay, this is what our results, like Beklug and I, like what we've actually accomplished at this point, and explains how it works. He says he's, it should theoretically work. He's gonna do a test of it, which he does a little bit later. But that because of the urgency, they're like, is Stola okay? They're just like, how's Stola doing? Because we've all been fainting, and she's just alone, like way out there.
Which was a great idea, by the way, as we all pointed out in 5.2. Such a great idea to leave her alone at the bottom of the ocean.
She was fine. She big girl.
Yeah, demonstrably fine.
She big girl. She can handle
Big girl.
Yeah. She big girl.
Chat did bring up that we missed the tower where we accidentally get called to the tower with Ellentill.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna come back to that. Don't worry about that. You've missed a few things here, and we will be coming back.
Yeah, it's not like we can really avoid it, because when we go back to the Anidor, she's passed out on the ground and she just fainted. Apparently, it's nothing to do with anything else. But Ellentill is like, opportunity. Let me ridicule you for the next 6 minutes while you play through every expansion you've played through thus far. And there's mad exposition everywhere, so much so that keeping up with it all, even with the minor dialogues, is a little bit chaotic. And then he wanted to fight us himself in Ardbert's body.
Mm-hmm.
He kidnapped her to make sure we'd comply too. But that was a time going through all of the game in like 6 minutes.
This is your life.
Yeah.
It really did feel like this is it. This is the end of your journey. Like everything that you've been doing since 2013 has been leading up to this. Like this was from this point onwards, this was such like an incredibly sort of cathartic and emotional experience for the MSQ, I think, and I'm sure that was the case for a good number of you all playing through it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I tried to carefully pay attention to as many of the minor dialogue pieces, even when you're like facing some of the scions and stuff. Some of the things they say are, I mean, Ellentill is making them say it, but oh boy.
Was there anything in particular that like stood out for you?
I remember there being a couple of like little dialogues that some of the non-aggressive NPCs are saying about, but I can't remember the exact details of it because there was so much it was hard to process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Elbert does say sloppy. He sure does.
He does.
Yeah, loud and clear. They're like, just borrow that audio clip. Just grab that real quick. The most interesting thing is probably the Xenos illusion because he actually loses control of it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty foreboding, one might say.
Yes. I mean, we've talked a little bit about like what Xenos might actually be and what that resonance project of, trying to rejoin a person could actually have been, Emmett Selk trying to, particularly now, Emmett Selk trying to find a way to bring back the Amrateens without having to sacrifice all these other worlds. And Xenos could be much, much denser than Ellentill or even, any of the unsundered Ascians. We have no way of knowing.
Yeah, he's got some souls probably pushed in there a little bit of souls from some other people, a little too many. It's a little out of control, I'd say, to say the least. He's dense. He is dense in every manner of the word, pretty much. Little
I think that's a good
single-minded.
That's a good catch-all. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's probably the most important thing I took away from that. Was the Xeno solution. Jesus Christ, phone, what are you doing? Stop it. What do you need, Seattle? You don't need anything to call me twice. There's no way you do, Seattle. It's just rang twice in a row. It's so fucking annoying. But other than that, that was just a fun little walk down memory lane for me, for the most part. Everything from that point on was open the floodgates, pretty much, because that cutscene ends with Y'shtola reminding you who the actual main character is.
Yeah.
She wakes up, she just gets out of whatever trap he had set for her, like whatever bonds, and she's like,
"See,
I figured you out." And she ends up being correct. Very, very immediately correct.
Didn't even need Oriange's help on that one. She must have been very proud of herself.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, she just figured. She explains it. Whatever. Go Ethys. This is the beginning of you never being able to stop talking. Yeah.
You want me to do it now? You really want me to
Well, it's gonna start now, but it's gonna quickly spiral into everything. It's unavoidable at this point.
I've got beer. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Let me collect myself a little bit here. So, Ellentill is a primal. This is the same Ellentill that was the heart of Zodiac. Oriange's speculation that another one was promoted afterwards is not correct. My speculation that this was an untempered Ellentill that could be reasoned with somehow was incorrect. All right, this is tough because I have a hard time splitting my notes here on Ellentill, my notes here on Asm. We'll come to Asm in a moment. So Y'shtola mentions that Ellentill is a sliver of Zodiac who is summoned and programmed by this cacophony of voices, into which his own identity must be like really difficult to kind of extricate, to grasp.
Yeah.
But this struggle is clearly like compounded recently. Ellentill is behaving very differently to how he was behaving like from back in 2.1, right? Which I thought was really interesting. And the point there is that the two voices from this cacophony that were actually like there from the beginning and had these clear and discrete memories of the pre-sundered world were Emet-Selch and Laha Brea, right? Like all the other Ascians, their memories are secondhand. They're reconstructed from these crystals. And as we know, like we see, like most obviously with Gabu, when Gabu summoned Titan, that the worshippers or whoever's like willing the existence of these entities dictates their thoughts and feelings and memories. And with those two gone, Ellentill's mind is effectively unraveling, and all he has left, as we're seeing through these echo scenes, is this obsession with duty. When he took up the mantle, took up the role of Ellentill, like Laha Brea was telling him that he was obsessed with his duty. And he was, and that he needed to relax a little bit. Like Laha Brea was telling him to relax and like go outside and take a walk. So
like go out and play.
Yeah. So at this point, with them gone, Ellentill's memories are fragmenting and dissolving, and this obsession is the only thing that remains, the only thing that's still sustaining him, which is pretty tragic.
Now,
yeah.
Before you go on, and this is slightly getting ahead of myself, but when Ellentill got the title of Ellentill. And I was thinking about this, like after the trial, like in terms of the life of Immortines,
Mm-hmm.
Was he a child? Essentially an Moritine child when he got the mantle of Ellentill, or was he like an actual adult Moritine?
Look, I don't think we can know for sure. I found this really interesting. When the Convocation summoned Zodiac, they sacrificed half of Amarot. They didn't sacrifice themselves. You know, none of them volunteered.
Yeah.
They were like, no, me, no, I'm important. I'm part of the Convocation. So it would make sense if they were like, hey, let's make the kid do it, you know? And that kind of like adds a lot to, I guess, the tragedy of Ellentill character, that he was some kind of like child prodigy that was like, you know, groomed for and pushed into this role. But the fact is we simply don't know at this point. Okay. But what I was describing with, like, once Emmett is dead, there's nothing left to like keep his mind really like together and on focus, and it starts, you know, unraveling. Makes sense why Emmett seemed to have put in this like contingency plan that if Emmett failed and Emmett was destroyed, that Ellentill could be put out of his misery effectively.
Yeah.
Which is messed up. So I think, okay, if we step back a little bit, when we meet Ellentill in the Crystarium at the beginning of this patch, it's like he realizes that we've like summoned him to us somehow.
Yeah.
And this is the first hint that we get that we are the 14th member. We're part of the Convocation, that he's beholden to the will of the Convocation. You know, he was saying in 5.2, like, I exist to fulfill not the will of Zodiac, but the will of the Convocation. So perhaps we have like some sort of influence on him there.
Well,
okay,
I want to. Convocation. Yeah, well, we'll get to that a bit later. If we weren't before.
Yeah. Well, okay. So do we accept that we were part of the Convocation? That Hythlodeus was being pretty unambiguous when he gives us the sun, the soul stone, that he says now it's where it belongs. You are the 14th member. Do we accept that?
I accept that. It's hard to. It's really hard to explain it much of any other way.
I accept that we're the 14th member now. Rather than
I think I would have accepted it less if, when he saw us at the tower, it didn't flash to a quick scene of an Emeraudian. If it had just been we were there and he's just like, oh, you called me here, I could maybe have attributed it to something else, such as Ardbert's body. But we have Ardbert's soul, so nothing about his body should be drawing him there, because as far as we know, we have his soul and his mind. We just don't have his physical body. So
yeah. And to be fair, like Ellentill says, well, I don't remember you. Maybe I never met you, or maybe it's just another thing that's lost to me. I think the latter is true. Like I say, his memories, his mind is unraveling, and he's got all these voices in his head, and he can't distinguish his own. And the two voices that were clear and specific are gone now. I think that he just couldn't remember. That was just lost to him.
Yeah.
So I think there's two like. There's two theories you could take here. One is that we are literally a shard of Azem. The other is that, well, whatever Azem was, we have inherited that from Emmett, from Hythlodeus through Emmett. I don't think the distinction is necessarily important. But to understand like what Ellentill is doing and how Ellentill extracted himself, and this is the key. Ellentill extracted himself from Zodiac after the Sundering, and I'll demonstrate the timeline for you in a moment. But I've seen a lot of speculation around that Ellentill like extracted himself before the Sundering, and that's how Hydaelyn was able to defeat him. That's not the case. He lays it out for us here. All right, so let's start with Azem, like the nature of Azem, I guess. So Hyphodia says, among all the officers, the 14th was the most unusual. For while the rest sat in Amarot, its holder was charged with gaining an intimate knowledge of the wider world. So we were a traveler. We were the first adventurer. While they're all sitting in the ivory tower, where, again, traveling the world, learning about people and their cultures and their problems and stuff like that. Honestly, probably living like a pretty similar life to what we live now as the Warrior of Light, which is obviously like the kind of parallel they're trying to draw here. Emmett describes us as shepherd to the stars in the dark. And some people are taking that to mean that we traveled to different stars, to other worlds. I don't know about that, or if it's just like a flowery metaphor. I don't know if you guys have any like opinions on that, whether that might tie in somewhere.
I don't think it means literal. I think it's a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought so too, particularly since the star signs are taken to represent the other the other convocation members, that being a shepherd to these stars in the dark kind of solidifies Azem's role as like the moral center and the moral compass of the convocation, the wisest, the one that knows about the world, and that once he realizes that summoning Zodiac is a mistake and he leaves, then this guiding moral compass for the convocation and subsequently for the Ascians is just completely lost. So Azem was opposed to the summoning of Zodiac, left the convocation. They were also opposed to the summoning of Hydaelyn and didn't side with Venar, which is very curious. Now, after the Sundering, Zodiac crystals were forged for every single one of the convocation members, with whatever memories the Unsundered, specifically Emmett Selk and Laha Brea, had of them, so that they could find the shards of their former convocation members, give them these crystals, and they would basically give them these memories, which would, trigger a strong enough echo, and give them some semblance of their old identity so that they could, go about fulfilling this role as Ascians. No crystal was made for Azem, because the convocation was salty. But Emmett, at some point, made one in secret, which contains an account of their life, as well as, he says, a magic of their own conceiving. The magic to summon the stars to your side, is what Hythlodia says, which is also may or may not be metaphorical or literal. Now, the Sundered Azem became the first Warrior of Light. And we know this because Elidibus directly says, sundered though you may be, you fought for the world's salvation, for hope. So Azem, after the Sundering, on at least one of the shards, but quite possibly like all of the shards of Azem across all of the shards, I think we can entertain this idea, was the first Warrior of Light and provided this beacon of hope to everyone in this, dark period, fighting for justice and fighting for the light, and giving people this symbol of basically of worship. Not necessarily literally of worship, because we don't know, like primals, for instance, they don't need to be like literally objects of worship, but of this fixation, this willpower that resembles worship in some way. Now, this is where we get back to Elidibus. This is really important. Zodiac was originally summoned with prayer, with willpower, for hope and for salvation, to deliver the star from destruction. So a desire for this, and subsequently a desire to put the star back together, would have been the driving motivation for Zodiac, and subsequently for Elidibus post the summoning of Zodiac. Now, an identical hope to this was being placed in Azem as the first Warrior of Light by the people. And this hope, this desire for salvation, basically redirected to Zodiac because it was the same stuff that fueled Zodiac. And so even after the Sundering and Zodiac was imprisoned, this empowered Ellentill enough, just enough, to extract himself, project himself, whatever you want to say, from the heart of Zodiac. He when he's talking about Azem, he says, hope. It swells within me, empowers me. He's saying this immediately after he's talking about people hoping and like looking towards Azem. He says, it swells within me, empowers me. Now I may carry out my mission. And that's the moment when he's basically sitting in the dark in this prison, the moon, whatever it is, feeling the suffering of his brothers in the convocation and having no way to get out and help them, until basically he gets this injection of hope, this injection of prayer that lets him extract himself as this sliver, like just enough to project himself out of Zodiac. So that's what Ellentill is now, and that's basically when it happens. And as he realizes this, Ellentill continues to basically accommodate and groom this hero worship, this worship of the Warriors of Light and their legends across the shards, because, well, for a few reasons. Firstly, because it lets them pitch like light against darkness and create chaos leading to the rejoinings. Like when Ardbert first comes to our world, it's like, I'm going to get Ardbert and his crew to kill these primals. So go and one-shot Ravana, so the Nath realize that their Ravana is not strong enough. They need something stronger. And then, we can get to these big epic climactic battles that create enough chaos and enough distortion to get a rejoining precipitated. There's that. And then there's also the fact that Ellentill can at any time redirect this hero worship into himself to innovate and empower and sustain himself. That's
what a way to wrap that up.
Yes. Okay.
One thing, one side.
Okay. Yeah. And speaking of Warriors of Light, we know that Tolthawil, we fought Tolthawil in a dungeon not so long ago, didn't we? Do you guys remember that? Come on.
Who?
Come on. Tolthawil, Elven King on a horse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we fought his painting.
Cosmos.
Yeah, in the Grand Cosmos, a projection from his painting. So he was the first king of Lakeland and a warrior of light, which is pretty cool. We got the names Rodfert and Solard from Vobert. I haven't heard of them before. If there's something somewhere that I've missed, I apologize for that. And of course, Tiuna, the Viera Archmage from Ronka. And then, of course, going back to that story, which is why I think Azem may have had, like, Azem shards may have been the first warrior of light across all of the shards, is that we have this story that we're told is the oldest story in Novarant, the first epic, the original epic. It's a picture of Azem. It looks exactly the same as how we see Azem in Ellentill Echo and how we see Azem when Ellentill takes Azem's form as the Warrior of Light incarnate. It looks exactly the same. Now, we've talked about before how the fact that the first and the other shards haven't had calamities like the Source has. So their history is not like wiped out constantly, and they have like their culture, their sort of legends, their like historical memory, historical imagination is closer to basically the original world than it is on the Source. And I think this is another example of that, is they still have, we call it the time of the 12. What we're looking at here, Azem and his companions, the first Zodiac Braves, the time of the 12 in Eorzean mythology. All of this is tying into that era. I think like we're definitely like jumping the gun here. But I think we can be fairly confident now that we have Azem, Azema, Azim,
and
Azim.
Yeah.
I've been waiting 12 to get to that point.
Yeah, the 12 followers of Venar, aka Hydaelyn. Now, two of them have to be because we know in that scene there were 12 of them in Anada, and Azem was not there. 2 of them had to be Nuld and Thol. We understand that now, but I think we can be pretty damn confident that that is the 12. And that they were probably behaving something like the original Zodiac Braves following Azem after the thing is, Sundering.
But the thing is, you just mentioned Azima, and isn't Azima a mother of one of the 12?
No, Azema is a female. I think originally in the iconography of the 12. But here's the thing, and this is another interesting one, right? Okay, so we get Azem has the symbol of the sun, right? And obviously the symbol of Azema is like a derivative of that. It's also a symbol of the sun. That symbol used to belong to Sephiroth, right? And people saw it on like Allagan architecture after the Allagans were like, oh, Mericidian architecture is pretty cool. Let's use some of that. And people saw it in like the 4th Astro era and was like, oh, that building survived. That survived these earthquakes. What's that symbol on it? Oh shit, that looks kind of like the sun. Oh, it must have been like a blessing for the sun god or whatever. That must be Azema's mark. It's just interesting how it like came back to Azema through Sephiroth. Yeah, you're right. Let's. I mean, I guess just as like an interesting juxtaposition to what our characters and what we're learning here. Azema is a female. I was pretty certain about that. I wanted to check. Element of Fire, 9th moon of the Orsian calendar. Yeah, the daughter of Althic, elder sister of Menfina. Yeah, symbol of the sun. Now, you know, we're not literally Azema, like Azem and Azim and Azema are like, they're different, but they obviously all come back to this genesis of the first warrior of light.
Yeah. Somebody also brought up a good point that the farthest back our written history goes is Alleg. We don't really know much about anything, but there's Azim gear in Labyrinth of the Ancients. The question is, how interpretive of that is it? Is it just something the Allagans held on to from an era before them, or replicated from an era before them?
Well, of course. I mean, like we know history back to Alleg like 5,000 years, and there's a couple of gaps there, but like we have a pretty like solid grasp of like the course of major historical events through that time. Alleg was way ahead of us, and they were only in the 3rd astral era. You know, like they basically like split the middle between where we are now and the Sundering. If they remembered as far back as we remember, then they were basically remembering like shit not long after the Sundering, like in the first millennium even after the Sundering.
Right.
So it's not hard to imagine that they had, in the same way that like Novrat does, that they had like clear and precise stories and clear and precise depictions of Azem upon which this gear was inspired, designed, however you want to put it.
Yeah, and as chat brings up, we know Emmett made, or well, I guess we presume Emmett made the Zodiac Stone for Azim. He also made Alleg.
Yeah, totally. Now, the one thing that really bothers me here, the one thing that I can't quite get my head around, is the fact that Emmett Circle is tempered. And Emmett made the point to us that, like, whatever he may feel, whatever he may think, whatever he may want to do as untempered, like, of his own free will, his own free volition, is irrelevant, because the only thing he can do is quicken the rejoining and the resurrection of Zodiac. So how can he undermine that and undermine Ellentill?
Well,
without thinking there's maybe another way to resurrect Zodiac and bring about the rejoining, or the only thing I could think of is we remember in Coil, when we kill Nail and when we beat Louis Soir, there's a moment upon their death, like as they're dying, that tempering reverses.
Yeah, their cognition returns.
Yeah. So it may be that what that this replication of the Azem stone, or whatever Emmett poured into this replication of the Azem stone, was either done maybe even, before the summoning of Zodiac, like as soon as Azem left. Maybe he was,
or he did it
thinking
literally
about, what could come
in the final moments.
as he was dying.
Yeah.
Which I think is the most likely, and very I don't know. It's a mystery. But what I'm very glad about is that I didn't think I was going to be able to do this when we watched it through the first time. I was like, we're not going to get any answers about like what Ellentill really is and how this happened and when this happened. But when you look at like the Echo cutscenes and his like reactions in the Echo cutscenes, back from the beginning of the patch, you do actually get like a pretty clear and precise idea of the timeline, which is more or less as I've told you. I will give you the disclaimer. What's happening in this show, like, we're only a week out of patch, and what I'm saying now, what I'm thinking now, might not necessarily represent what I'm going to be saying and thinking in like a couple weeks time when I'm making, lore bombs, when I'm making videos on Ellentill. This is just where I'm at the moment. There might be some stuff that I haven't picked up, or some stuff that I've like glossed over or like conflated, but this is where we're at right now. And that was one heck of a tangent.
I don't know. None of that was really a tangent. It's all pretty on.
That was pretty much expected. So,
okay,
again, we know what we signed up for with this show. Come on.
Oh yeah, we knew this was the Ethys talks and I eat fries and listen to them show.
Okay, so where at what point do we steer back into the MSQ here?
That was all MSQ.
No, let's go.
All right, how about this? After we fought Ardbert, and he was like, "Thank you for showing me that this body is not sufficient." I was thinking, and this is exactly what I was thinking before patch. I was like, "Oh fuck, he's gonna go and possess G'raha, and we're gonna have to fight G'raha."
I never thought that.
Me either.
Well, I thought that because he uses the power of the Crystal Tower, right?
Yeah,
and he summons them.
Is that partially why you thought G'raha was gone, like this patch?
Well, I thought he wasn't, and I was right about that. Like he both died and lived. You guys remember that? You remember that?
I mean, that was always a go-to guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, come on! Don't steal my thunder. There was don't piss on my chips.
We all agreed.
You did. You guys did agree.
I said he was living.
That's true. You did. And you're technically right. And everyone said that he was dying. They're technically right as well.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he's using the powers of the Crystal Tower. He's summoning Warriors of Light from across the rift. How could he do that without being in G'raha's body? And
the answer we got was pretty neat. I really like the way they went about that.
Was by having G'raha's memories.
Yeah. Literally had he had already. Which part? Yeah, he had his mind. He specifically had.
No, he had his memories.
Yeah, his memories
From stone.
Yeah.
He
had his memories in the stone. He's like, all right, that's good enough. Fuck it.
Yeah, G'raha didn't need to pour his mind and his soul into the stone because he already had those back on the source.
Yeah, and
he
just
needed
those
memories.
He just had to accept that he was the other. Like he couldn't deny who he was on the source. Essentially, he had to accept his name, pretty much.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing here is that G'raha would have us believe that his trump card was something that he'd planned all along. If he did plan it all along, then Ellentill would have known about it along with all the other shit that the Crystal Tower could do.
Yeah.
Did that bother anyone else? It's like, he knows how to do this, but he doesn't know that it can act as a giant fucking aura site. Like, that would be in G'raha's memories too, right? No, G'raha came up with that at the last minute.
Sure did.
Yeah. And we found out that G'raha is the better prankster than J.
To be fair, though, we actually knew that from 5.0 because when we beat Innocence, he reveals he is actually the ultimate prankster.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, that was a collaborative prank, you know?
Yeah, but like G'raha mastermind that shit.
Yeah. See, the fact that this plan wasn't in G'raha's memories makes me think that maybe he didn't come up with it, and maybe he just like ran into Urianger on the way out, and Urianger was like, and as G'raha's like limping through the forest, Urianger's just like, hey, you know it's a giant Orosite, right?
Yeah, the chat's bringing up a line from G'raha where he focuses on the future and doesn't actually look through his past memories at all. He actually ridicules him for that when he finally activates the Crystal Tower.
Right.
So that's just Elidibus being a fucking idiot, which, you know. He's been around La Habre all this time. That's for all the time he was around.
Some of it was bound to rub off,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't have any Archon Loaf to really set his mind right. If he had some of that, he probably would have been fine. In all honesty, be like, oh, this place is pretty. Nope, never mind. Got to destroy it. Got to burn it all.
Well, Elidibus, man, like he goofed. He goofed real big because there's like no way he shouldn't have known that. I knew that. As soon as I realized what was going on, I was like, yo, we're fighting on a giant crystal dough. I was like, this whole fight's redundant though. Like, let's just do it.
Okay.
We had to weaken him first. I get it.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull us back from that point because we skipped through a few things. Obviously we went to Yulmore.
Please.
And we were talking to the Chais. I gotta love how all the Yulmorans saw the Warriors of Light and immediately went, no, listen, we fucking dealt with Light for 100 years. I don't trust this shit for a remote second. We're gonna help. Everyone across the realm was like, these are the bad guys. We got that. There's no fucking confusion about it. And we got to see Tupac again. Titania came out to help. The ads from Titania came out to help. The golems from the Stoneworks came out to help. The the role quest people came out to help.
Yeah.
But there's one NPC that has eclipsed all of them. And that is sometimes when you're going through the dungeon on the very end, like there's like a little gate on the right.
Yeah.
Hildebrand is there as a summoned warrior of light in his kind of destroyed getup.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's even going on? So I have two questions about that. One, does that confirm Hildebrand is indeed a warrior of light?
Well, we determined in this patch that Warrior of Light is purely semantics.
Yeah. But he answered this call, so, as the gentleman of light.
Yeah. So it's not like, is he or is he not? Like, does he not tick this box for ontology? It's just like, there are enough people in Eorzea that consider Hildebrand a gentleman of light that he meets that threshold. Like there's enough people that revere him and I don't want to say worship because that's not it.
That's fine.
But see him as like an icon that represents these qualities that it's enough for Elidibus to get some fuel out of, basically. And that's hilarious.
The second question is,
what shard is he on?
Where is he? Yeah. Because the last we left him, for anyone reminded, there was a mind-controlled Gilgamesh who pulled him into a rift. And the assumption would be that we would see him on the first, and that has yielded nothing.
Okay, I feel like to kind of answer this question, we really need to dig a little deep into the hero's gauntlet and where he's pulling all these warriors from, the ones we're fighting.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of Final Fantasy V references. But I don't think that I'm probably going to pay for this, but I don't think that there's supposed to be any like clear and precise things to grab onto here. I think it's supposed to just feel like a bunch of Easter eggs.
You really think there's nothing of substance within any of the bosses or any of the enemies we fight in the Hero's Gauntlet? Nothing.
Well, I mean, there can't be beyond the fact that we just know that like every Final Fantasy game, every Final Fantasy story has some kind of like parallel, some kind of iteration, some kind of retelling of it somewhere within the 14 multiverse.
Yeah. And it's also worth remembering that just like with when we fought Hades, they are not just across dimension, they are across time.
Yeah.
Time.
So he could even be Hildebrand from like before, not just Hildebrand from another location now.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man.
Which would explain his kind of destroyed getup.
And see, I was really ready to kind of like count the shards as maybe instances of, you know, events in Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But, and seeing as we are getting some Type 0 shit, I was about to link it to that, but again, this is after. Basha is like during/after, so I really can't, and it's on Yulmore. I mean, not Yulmore. It's on Norvrant, so like I really can't link that. So I was like, I threw that out immediately.
You can certainly try.
God.
Well, here's something that's a little bit easier to make a link for. The first boss is Locke from Final Fantasy VI. Without a doubt. For a second, I thought he was Firion because it kind of have that similar kind of like puffy hat. I remember the Amano artwork of Firion, but no, it's definitely Locke, which makes sense. He's a thief. But the other two jobs have sparked a lot of discussion. So the first boss is a spectral thief. It's Locke from Final Fantasy VI. It's a Walmart Locke.
Yep.
God damn it.
Walmart Locke. Yeah, excuse me. Treasure Hunter. Yes. The second boss is a Necromancer. And the third boss is a Berserker. And the second boss, unfortunately, much like my Twitter timeline when she was first revealed, is full of discussions about her.
So Lena from Final Fantasy V has a Necromancer job from Final Fantasy V, the GBA remake.
Yeah,
I think
it's from the remake. It's a job that you pretty much only obtain after you've beaten everything. Yeah.
And the design of this character is derivative, is similar to that. And that's all we got. That's honestly where it begins and ends.
I think it's safe to say that it's not in any way... This is not the same as the Apothecary heavy-handedness. In that doesn't feel in any way indicative, which a lot of people are taking it as. I've had just an abundance of...
Oh, the Necro job.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be.
Would you like to explain why? Because I know the answer, but they trust you more.
Okay, well, the work in reskinning and I guess retying the lore for this job for the Chinese clients.
Well, throw our world out of it. Keep us in Eorzea. What does necromancy mean? Or what does necromancy do? How are bodies reanimated? What happens to ether?
Well, it's just no bueno. It's just no good.
It essentially tears. There's two versions of it. There's using your own ether to reanimate a body, basically an empty shell, kind of like Ellentill does, but without actually putting your soul in it. Or there's ripping the ether back out from the life stream and allowing them to be, and then they're self reanimated, which is what we see with the I know it's a kind of a joke, but the Hildebrand zombies are not traditional necromancy. They're like actually like alive. They have ether of, at the very least, of the mind. Or yeah, something along those lines. It is described, I forget in which quest line, to be destructive to the environment, essentially, to Hydaelyn. Yes. Similar to the way that a primal summoning is. Now, obviously, we have Eggies, but Eggies do not operate on the same level as primals.
Yeah, and who knows, like, maybe you could have, like, a spoopy skeleton Eggie, ooh, that's, like, reanimating bones without actually doing, like, capital N necromancy. But nah, I don't think so, eh?
Yeah. Like, so they can do whatever they want with their game. Who's to say it couldn't happen? They could suddenly have a school of necromancy that is just summon specters, from whatever. They could do whatever the fuck they want. We see the specters of light. Fuck it. Let's tie that into it somehow. But I think the fact that they talk about her being completely shrouded in darkness minus a small glimpse of radiance leaves a lot to be derived from that.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly interesting. We know that, like, warriors of light are not necessarily good and virtuous people. For example, Ajora Glabados betrayed Hydaelyn. Was a warrior of light, was Hydaelyn's chosen, and was effectively, seduced by Ultima.
Yep.
And summoned Ultima to destroy Malond, and was, basically condemned for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it is interesting. Again, like so much of Shadowbringers is about complicating and subverting, light, good, dark, bad, and the way that, like, heroes and villains sort of work and operate. And this is definitely that, and this is definitely a nod to Lena's necromancer outfit, but I just don't think there's much more than that in it.
Yeah. And then Berserker is just, there's not much to say. I mean, I can't say anything for or against it, but it's Warrior for all intents and purposes is a subdivision of Berserker when you actually get into the quest lore and everything.
Yeah. And it looks kind of like Galuf, right?
Yeah. It does. I think it is his. I think it's his Berserker outfit, Galuf's Berserker outfit.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not deriving much of anything. Thief, they've already ruled out. So, like, they've told us the reason why we won't have Thief, and I assume the other two jobs fall into that same category of. It'd be really weird if the Warrior of Light was just a thief. It'd be like, well, no, not after 13 other games, but yeah, now that you put it that way, I suppose you're right. So. I find that I didn't take any of those. Who knows though? Maybe they're like we get like dark versions of like people thought that was gonna happen with the fucking Warrior of Darkness shit. Like, oh, we're gonna have dark versions of jobs now. And then they're like, well, we're not actually a Warrior of Zodiark. It's not acceptable to be okay. Let's
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, okay. I just wanted to get that and Hildebrand taken care of, because those were both really important.
No, it's good.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we move on back to where we were with the story, and we've ascended. Oh, so I need to be clarified on something here. Is Elidibus' soul just trapped in the Crystal Tower now? And it's just there existing? Because we beat him, he got like annihilated, but then you see him just get like pulled in and like
It's the same thing as with Lahabret.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
The question was, did his like soul and mind and all that like deteriorate, and just his ether was given to it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume that he's not in his Crystal of Darkness. He hasn't retreated, into there and subsequently into the Rift. Yeah, it's the same thing as Lahabrea. Lahabrea got pulled into Ascalon, and in so doing got ground up into ethereal dust, into its constituent components, to be used as fuel and then dispersed back into the live stream.
The first example of that being the Sahagin in 2.2. Always the best example to draw back to when you're wondering what happens in that case.
Yeah. The same things happened here. It's his particles, his atoms, if you will, have been dispersed amidst all of the ether that's churning around in the crystal tower, and it'll be spent and dispersed across the ethereal sea again, and that's it. Like, it's not being held together anymore. Like, the anima that makes up his soul still exists, but it's not held together in one soul. So that's it. Ellentill is done. Last of the Unsundered is done. And you know what? That's probably a good segue to talk about our new old friend.
Grahatia.
No.
I know what you mean.
Grahatia. Get out of here.
You didn't talk about Grahatia at all, about his
Daniel.
We'll get to Grahatia.
Right.
We will get to Grahatia.
I think Daniel.
This is just a really good segue, I think. So the sundered Ascians are not necessarily tempered. It doesn't seem like they are. They may or may not be, but they're not necessarily tempered. They're not even necessarily the shards of the Convocation members that originally held that position. They can be just some random jabroni that was given one of these zodiac stones and said hey, suck on this and get some of this guy's memories and powers. And Fandaniel is oh shit, is Ellentill dead? Can I just do whatever I want now? And this really, really opens the door for us in a really interesting way. If the Ascians are no longer beholden to the will of Zodiac and pursuing the rejoinings and resurrecting Big Z, the only thing that was keeping them beholden to it was the Unsundered and the fact that they are so much more powerful. Now we've got just a bunch of randos with the powers of these Ascians and some of the memories of these Ascians that can just whatever the hell they want pursue their own agenda. Which for Fandaniel seems to be sticking Xenos into a Ellentill-shaped hole in the heart of Zodiac. But for the other ones, it could be anything from being the next Lolorito to being, a king or an emperor of, something that's not just a means to an end, to perhaps even joining the Scions. Who knows? Maybe down the road we will have, particularly since we're moving more and more towards considering the Ascians as potential objects of sympathy. Maybe we'll have one of these sundered Ascians that's free of these shackles that wants to join the Scions, and we'll have to convince Gaius not to kill them. This just opens up so many possibilities for the story moving forward. Well,
Pashtarak we still never saw, and they took him. They didn't have a what's it called, a hood on him, so you'd assume he would have been important. That's fresh on my mind, of course.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, a lot of people talk about okay, we know some of them have been killed, we know some of them are still around. They could all still be around. Amaril Lolth, he got destroyed by the students of Baldesion, and he was back 2 patches later. Helmarut, the same. We know even Fandaniel. Fandaniel is Leo. He has a lion mask, which is hanging on Gaius's belts. Gaius has already done this, dude. Gaius is going to end up seeing Fandaniel at some point in the future and being hang on, didn't I already get you?
Well, that was funny because we said to that, we're wait a minute, Gaius, you could have actually killed any of these. You could have killed the black masked ones because they seem to disperse and go with relative ease. So much so that that the Scions say they killed a bunch of them this patch, behind the scenes. But the red masked one, I'm probably not as easy to just be done with that, huh? Yeah, and he's not because
And we were suspecting that Gaius was probably just spawn camping, right? And just waiting for him to come back into a new body and then going, ha! Yeah, try and get to the objective now, bitch. That's probably what he was doing. But even if he was destroying them, we know that they can just promote someone else, right? which they may have done with Emerald. So there could be just a couple of them left, or there could be like a whole bunch of them. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, because we could, so going back to Pastorot and Nabrialis, we know what we had to do to kill Nabrialis, and I don't think Gaius had a fucking Louis Swastaff laying around that could have somebody pour their life into it to give it enough ether and an Orosite and all that. So I'd imagine probably just like Nabrialis was like, okay, I'll just be back. Like, what the fuck?
Listen, for all we know, Gaius could have the Heart of Sabik.
I think it's. I'm willing to bet it's gone, but okay, I hope
it's gone. I hope it's gone because it's one of those things.
He could maybe have found a shard like this big right here.
Yeah,
and he's got that.
Yeah, but I'm saying that it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter whether he killed their bodies, whether he destroyed them proper. Like they still can come back. They probably won't anymore because the impetus for the surviving Ascians isn't there to pursue the resurrection of Zodiac. But I suspect that Fandaniel's plan is like, oh, hey, I can rejoin the world and I can be like the master of that world, or something to that effect. I
don't think Fandaniel's really concerned with the rejoining. I think
honestly,
I think Fandaniel just wants to. I really think he just wants to watch the world burn at this point. He's the last one. Well, quote unquote. Elidibus is gone. The quote unquote heart of Zodiac is gone.
Yeah.
What does he have to do but like fuck with Xenos for like pretty much the entirety of his life?
Yeah. Well,
he literally just wants to give Xenos exactly what he wants.
Yeah, and what Xenos wants is to do to Zodiac what he did to Shinryu. He said as much like several patches ago. He was like, he basically spelled it out. He was like, I'm going to take Zodiac. I'm going to force the Warrior Light to take Hydaelyn, and we're going to have like a giant fucking mecha battle, and it's going to be dope as shit.
Super robot.
Yeah, he's going to get his own G Warrior, the Zodiac G Warrior.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what he wants to do, and I think it probably won't work so well for him. I think that in that arm wrestle of like in enthrallment or tempering, he's probably gonna lose to Zodiac. He beat Shinryu.
I'm willing to bet he wins.
Gonna lose.
I have a feeling he's gonna win. I don't think he should, but I think
he will.
Me
too. Me too.
Well, it's certainly gonna be interesting, and either way, that is going to give us the opportunity to have to destroy Zodiac without the rest of the rejoinings. Is going to like get the shortcut to resurrection, and then Hydaelyn's going to have to disperse, probably willingly after Zodiac is destroyed, because suddenly things will be out of balance, and she only existed in the beginning to like keep things in balance. So Hydaelyn's gone, Zodiac's gone, the Keening, whatever it is, Lavos comes back. And
he's in Silver Tier.
Bada bing, bada boom. Presence in Silver Tier. On to the next adventure.
Listen, we still don't have 100% of an. We've been told we were going to figure it out. We still don't have 100% an explanation as to why, when Midgard Summer crashed into Silver Tier, all of a sudden all of this creation magic became
Well, we're gonna
don't have that full explanation.
Yeah,
we're gonna get it eventually. And if there was any doubt, hold on, where is it? Just in case there was any doubt, did I get a screenshot of it? No, maybe I didn't. In the voiceover in that final scene with Xenos talking about the fell beast or whatever, and talking about like our next journey, the final chapter of this story, is going to take us into the lair of the fell beast. Just in case anyone needed any further evidence that we are finally going to Garlemald in 6.0.
Yeah, we kind of just glossed over how Xenos pretty much obliterated a bunch of Garly and said, well, this is mine now. Not really out of character for him. I feel like most people would just see that and be like, that's him, all right. And it is, for once, unlike the last time when it wasn't him.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't. And then it's like, yeah, this is going to be perfect for us. I was like, perfect for what? You just killed everyone.
Yeah, I feel like in 6.0, slowly but surely, we're pulling all of Garlemald to our side because they see how batshit crazy.
Well, he
Xenos
killed
is.
all the people who would have been on our side. That was kind of the big thing he did when he was like, yeah, we just kill all the Popularis. No worries.
Yeah. I mean, is Maxima dead?
Not yet. Not that we know of.
Well, we don't know that he's still alive. They said we killed all the Populares. Maximo is a pretty like central part of the Populares.
But
I think Maxima survived.
Yeah, I think wasn't Maxima in God, where was he? When was the last time we saw Maxima?
He's in Eorzea at the moment.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's in
Yeah,
I want to say he was at the Alamegan
he was at the Rising Stones.
Was he at the Rising Stones?
Yeah, he was at the Rising Stones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah. So they didn't get all of the Populares.
Yeah, but I don't think they care about the ones not actually in Garlemald to, voice concerns in Garlemald.
Well, they're going to have to care about it because Maxima is an MSQ character. Whereas
care, but like I don't think they were like stressing out about like, oh yeah, you still don't like us. Nah. Yeah,
we'll get to you.
Yeah.
And not to mention, this is all setting full swing for Gaius to come back into the main scenario because, honestly, the other his two companions, especially since one of them has a pretty vested interest in seeing this through.
Yeah, we still need to learn a little bit more about the other one. What's her name?
I don't remember her name. She's boring.
Me either.
Maybe that's why we need to learn more about her.
That's why we need to learn more about her. She probably has a story. She has
Severa.
She probably has a.
There you go.
Well, she doesn't.
Severa.
She doesn't know what Vordelin's about because she's like, "Hey, I gotta go for a bit. Like, keep an eye on Gaius and make sure he doesn't get hurt." And I'm like, "Oh, you don't know." Oh, girl, you don't know, do you?
And before she's a spy, and she turns around and she's how they knew that we were coming to stop the weapon project at Turncliffe.
So you think she's the spy working for Valens?
I wouldn't be surprised. Possible. He's a grooming son of a bitch, and he just has such a hard on against Gaius in particular. It's really weird how like anti-Gaius. Like I understand that they don't like defectors and like that's like the highest form of like treason, but like he seems to have an especially specific anti like Gaius hard on. He's just always hard.
Oh god. Gaius is like a folk hero across all of Ilzabad, basically. Like even the sort of oppressed provinces think of Gaius as like a relatively chill dude compared to most of the other legati, in terms of the fairly equitable treatment and the general avoidance of bloodshed. Have any of you ever heard of Valens before?
No.
Right, so maybe that's why it's salty. Maybe that's why it's salty,
Well, that's why he's sweaty and milky, but I don't know about salty.
God damn it. Oh, man. I was trying to forget that.
I can't wait for everyone to go eat dinner.
In terms of Gundam, Gaius is Char Ostable. So he's Big Daddy. Big Daddy
Gaius. Oh man. Man, there's still so many other things we got to talk about.
Well, I'm having a look down my notes to see if we missed anything important. No, I covered the stuff about Azem and
nothing about Graha. That's it. You're just done with that, my boy.
Listen, Graha is all self-evident. All right, he's a scion now. Cool, and also a statue. All right.
Why wasn't he a housing furnishing? It's kind of disappointing.
He's at least as dense as we are. I'm just going to ignore that. He's at least as dense as we are, being rejoined in extra time, and we're rejoined in extra time because Ardbert. He's still an all-round, like he's going to be a pretty like hard hitter in the silence. He's got a dope new outfit, which is going to be on the Mog Station in like 7.5.
Please look forward to it.
He pranked us real good.
He did.
And then we get a few other little tidbits. Y'shtola is now the one making Thancred's bullets. And she seems to be able to make more of them at once than Reed could, which makes sense given the expertise.
Yeah, that does certainly make sense.
Yeah. Urian J watches too much anime. We have also discovered that. And he's really acclimated to the new sleeve draw, where he only pulls one. So he picked up on that real quick. Alice A is bored and has some great animations. And Alphino is the fucking same dude he's been.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I love it how Alice is like, man, I haven't had a job change in like a really long time. And Alphino is like, bro, I'm still an arcanist.
No, he's an academician.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Come on, man. He's come so far.
That did seem to be implying that they're both gonna get like, some kind of glow up soon. And I think that would be pretty sweet, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also didn't touch on how, Runar he's just completely destroyed on the inside.
Runar was like, I brought you a fella. Just kidding. Unless.
Dude, he straight up Fedora tip nice guide her. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, fuck. Runar
Milady.
So cringe.
Yeah. That was
I hate to say that, but I don't want to talk about Seto because Seto made me cry. So
Seto scenes probably. I like how there's 2 scenes since 5.0, and Seto's probably got 2 of like the best scenes across all of Shadowbringers. Both times he's there.
Yeah, Seto really like hits me where I live.
Why the fuck did they not voice Hollrick though? I felt like that was so goddamn important. Like everybody else got voice. Hollrick was just okay.
Because when you pay a voice actor to come into the studio for 2 lines,
well, in this case, they wouldn't be coming into the studio either. So
yeah, well, that's true. But there's usually like a minimum fee for engaging like professional voice acting services.
I mean, I felt like that was like in game. I felt like it was an important moment. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, we've been like working with Hollrick. Yeah.
I mean, now that I'll say he's back on the source, I'm amazed that wasn't the first place she fucking went.
That is fucking dirty. That is fucking dirty at this budget Gabu. You were
he is. Fun. He is though. Yeah, I was surprised, honestly, like Mike, you just said I'm surprised that like she didn't go straight for Gabu. She probably did. And we'll probably like deal with that now because one of the huge consequences of like Beklug's studies is that we now have a working theory for reversing tempering. And just to remind everyone, like the policy of all the grand companies, anyone that gets tempered is executed. They're just like Gabu is the only known exception. Everyone else is just dunzos.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be feeling real bad about that.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So we had Runar, we had I'm glad that Urian J's ended up having nothing to do with him. Like he's like, go Seto's more important. Seto's just you go take care of that. Your thing. He's just like, yeah, dude, the Pixies are helping me out. He probably told them like, oh no, I would hate it if somebody packed all my things for me and kicked me out of this area. Oh no. That would be terrible. I was really hoping to go in there and see him like the Pixies like comment on that, like some sort of little dialogue there with all the little Pixies around his house. Who's gonna live in that house now? Who's gonna do it? Then what else was there? There was Reen, which is, we'll probably have to tackle that more. I like that if you have done Eden, she does mention that she's met a new friend. So
yeah. And that's nice.
Yeah. Friends with Gaia.
The final chapter of that is going to be such a trip.
Do you think she's going to go full Gunbreak if you have the story done? Because now she's got the Gunblade.
I think maybe next expansion when we go back to see her.
I mean, you gotta remember
next expansion.
Next expansion, yeah. I'm gonna be surprised if we see much more of Reen after 5.4.
No reasons to go back to the first though.
We'll go and visit her at like level 83 because we need to ask Beckalug about something, and she'll be there as Gunbreaker, and we'll be like, "Oh hey," and it'll be really awkward, and then we'll never see her again.
Well, I mean, listen, it all makes sense here. Reen can be Squall and Gaia can be Renoa, and then we've got the Final Fantasy VIII duo right there.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, that's the thing. Although the thing is, Gaia basically already went through all of Squall's character development in one patch.
Gaia was efficient. That was
Gaia played Final Fantasy VIII and was like, I can't deal with him and the internal monologue for all this time. I'm gonna get this out of the way real quick.
Gaia spent like 30 seconds in therapy and was like, well, thanks, I'm done.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Tataru's gonna tell us we have a visitor, a young girl. She kind of reminds me of Minfilia. No. It's one thing we really didn't touch upon. The amount of bonus dialogue that there is with a lot of NPCs, including the number one NPC we look to every patch for new dialogue, Unu Kalhai.
Yeah, he did. It was nothing like nothing new or exciting. It was just like, yeah, no, I heard about that thing you did with Ellentill. Like, how about that? I'm still here. I'm still here. Sometimes people slide notes under the door. They won't let me out. I'm very hungry. I'd feel better maybe if they didn't know I existed, but they do. They just don't let me do anything or go anywhere.
We'll just slide a slice of Archon loaf under the door. There.
No, half a slice. Those are thick slices. They're not going to fit under the door.
Urianger was like, Azem? Did you get it? Are you stupid? Or do I have to? All right. And apparently Ciela has some lines as well, but I haven't.
All she literally says is, you did it. Thank you. My story's done.
Okay, see you later, Silva.
Yeah, so both the characters who I really want to see something happen with are now like...
Yeah, and that sucks.
I really want to see something happen. It's so annoying. Yeah. I'm so annoyed. I want all these void warriors of light, dark, whatever, to come together and something.
I do think that there's a reasonable chance we'll see some void stuff with the final chapter of Eden.
I like how because of you, all the Crystarium guard who's horny for Thancred, the story what's her face, where she's just like, oh, I've seen him with a girl, is he engaged? And then in 5.3 she's like, no, he's gone. She's literally not like this emote. That shit was so fucking funny. Need to not like this was her.
Thancred's grown a lot. It's come full circle, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He can never stop being a ladies' man, even when he's not trying.
Right.
I had to replay through Ul'dah. Every time I replay through that quest, I keep forgetting there's literally a quest where he's just walking with two women, just sweet talking him the whole time. And
you're like, oh here. Yeah, that's right. Like Dalaman's falling and Thancred's on his way to have a threesome. Yeah, that's right.
That's exactly what happens. He's like, oh, you are my desert rose. Oh, I would not be without you. And he just keeps turning left and right. And just like, hey, fishing.
It's all about efficiency.
It's all about efficiency. Oh man, absolute boss. But overall, a fitting end to the climax of Shadowbringers in particular, because from this point on, it's all set up. Like we still have 5.4, 5.5, and while there's no doubt we'll have another pretty major event, they got room to improve. 4.5's lead into Shadowbringers was not fantastic, if I recall. It was we're out in the battlefield, we're dealing with Elita Xenos, and then we're just like, and then all of this, the most exciting thing was that our friends had started passing out. We didn't know why. But then it's just all of a sudden like, I guess I'll see you later. It wasn't like a Shinryu Omega god level like epic or, well, we're killed. She's dead now, but trust me, she'll be back in 3.0 ending of 2.55.
The worst part of that was the fact that Estinian went up against Xenos and saved our ass, and we didn't see it.
Yeah. That literally could have been it. That could have been the Raubon Ilberd scene, which was, a big highlight of 2.55.
Well, I mean, we eventually got, Estinian and Gaius v Elita Xenos, which is pretty dope. But well, as I said, Shadowbringers ends with 5.3, but Stormblood never ends.
Yeah, we're still in the Storm. We're still in the post Stormblood quest.
Yeah.
We never haven't been.
And I think we will be until like 6.3, honestly, because just with that line, like, leading us to the beast's lair or whatever is like, oh, so Xenos is the antagonist of 6.0 as well.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about that.
Xenos is the child they're most proud of, but nobody else is.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Look, Xenos is a compelling villain. He's come a long way, and I think he's going to go a long way. But I gotta say, I got mixed feelings. I thought we were going to be done with him before 6.0.
Just let Ishikawa handle
There's still a chance.
Yeah. I have so much faith in Ishikawa. She turned around like Grahatia from being this boring two-dimensional like cardboard cutout of a side character. Like Arbert's her baby. I mean, who else? Like some really important ones I'm missing here that Ishikawa is responsible for. I mean, Coil, obviously. All the Dark Knight stuff.
Listen, I liked Xenos in 4.0. I've liked watching him gradually get the last scene in every patch for the last 4 years. Literally, I think every scene since 4.1 has been like a post scene of him doing something.
Yeah.
Is there not a patch? Is there a patch where that isn't the case? Can anyone point me to a scene that doesn't include Xenos at the end of a patch?
No, you're right. It's been every single patch. Certainly since like 4.1.
And this is that's a lot of build up for one fucking character.
They've just been moving him through a path, just like it's like MSQ and Xenos is like wait, hold on.
It really has been since 4.1.
Yeah.
They've just been going at it. They're just keeping him in the loop, one way or the other. So they've really been. Here's the thing. I remember there was a point with Ellentill where we're like, what are they going to do to make us even care? How? Because we had this predetermined notion of like the kind of character he was. So I'm hoping the same happens with Xenos, because we still don't know what he is, and that's got to be a pretty large revelation. Not to mention Fandaniel taking Asahi's body, which we had all pretty much predicted, and being twice as crazy as Asahi was somehow. Don't know how the fuck they managed that, but
you got the Asahi smile down.
Well, it's Asahi's body, so it'd be weird if he didn't have it. Imagine he's like, wait, how did this asshole smile?
Isn't it interesting that it seems like he has Asahi's memories as well?
I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Well, he's like, hey, didn't we know each other? And like he knows about his family and stuff. And like At least Daniel seems to imply that like it wasn't planned that he took Asahi's body. It was just like convenience.
That's my favorite line, where Xeno's just like, "Who are you?"
Who are you again?
Xenos was not being sarcastic there.
No,
Xenos
he wasn't. He was
Xenos,
dead serious. He did not remember Asahi at all.
Well, Xenos only met Asahi once when he rescued him on the field of battle at Doma, and he was just some rando foot soldier. Like, all that stuff between Xenos and Asahi, that was Ellentill.
Yeah. And Asahi just like, you know the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? It was like Electro before he became Electro, where he ran into Spider-Man once and he's like, "We're best friends." And then that spawned whatever the fuck is wrong with Asahi. So Asahi is Electro. That's it. That's what we've got.
Yeah, all right. That's a stretch.
I would believe that if not for Xenos being around for the last 4 years. This is disgusting rat. Okay, but with that, as much as we could definitely still hit on a lot of the smaller details that are, still to be discussed, we now need more information. But the next step is Bajja. If we're talking about looking forward to Garlemald, there's no more direct a step than Bajja. So with 5 weeks approximately, they said about a month and a half, so it's been a week. So we'll assume 5 more weeks. Is there anything in particular you're hoping to get out of Bajja that we
more nonsensical science from Makoto?
More I can see the future, but no, you can't change it like it's the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want more I want bridges built to the MSQ, in that we know that Xenos has gone in and wiped out the First Imperial Legion and taken the capital, and like Garlemald is done. Like, Garlemald is now just fractured legions operating independently and fighting over the scraps of what's left. That's what like Noah was preparing for, and he's been preparing for it for a long time. So I want to see some concession to that. And I would also really, really like to see them building a bridge between what's happening in Bajja and what's happening in Worldlit, given that they're like fairly close together, like geographically, they're in close proximity. Like I say, there might be something in between them, but we know that Worldlit is southwestern Ilzabad and Bajja is southeast. So they're not that far away from each other. And like between the two, we've basically covered like a good chunk of southern Ilzabad. So I want it to connect to like everything else that's happening on the Ilzabadian stage at the moment. That's what I want.
I like chat being like, I want to know how they're going to try to convince us that we need to go to Garlemald to get to Xenos when Xenos is going to come looking for us. I wouldn't be surprised if he has this whole like this mentality of what the perfect hunt looks like. And that he doesn't just want to come fight us for nothing. He wants this. He already said he wants like a grand stage, and what grander a stage than something like that. Yeah,
he's gonna want to kill all our friends for starters, and he's gonna get some of them.
Yeah, Yoshi P made a point in an interview not too long ago to say like, don't think we won't do in a few here and there. It's like feel free to get attached, but it's you never know.
Well, Ishikawa in the last interview I saw with her is like, when I bring back a character or I rescue a character from death, there is always a price. There is always a price to pay somewhere down the line for every miraculous recovery of a character like Grahatia. There's a reckoning, either for him or for someone else coming down the pipeline. What we've done to bring Grahatia back into the fold, we are going to pay for that. Like, mark my words, we are going to pay for that. And I think Xenos taking that away from us makes the most sense.
I never subscribed to you. I never thought you would subscribe to the whole there must be balance.
That's not me. That's not necessarily like me and like my sort of narrative philosophy. That's what she literally said, that she weighs these decisions very carefully, and she's always certain that there's a price.
You bring Graha back, but every zone just plays papaya.
That's the trade-off.
That's the trade-off. I just took that from chat. That's the law of equivalent exchange, of course.
A soul for a soul. The other one being mine.
I think a twin is going next. I think one of the twins is gone next expansion. I think they do one in at some point. I think Y'shtola gets to live through all of this, and one of the twins goes. And it's got to be Alma.
I think we got to go to Charlie, and then we got to confront their daddy. No. We got to go to Charlie, and we got to confront their daddy before that happens.
We'll talk to him after. We'll deliver the message.
Alpha knows the golden boy. What are you talking about? They would never kill off the golden boy.
Oh, they'll kill off the golden boy.
My money's on Thancred.
Yeah, he's actually the most and I mean, and also we still have Y'shtola slowly dying. We'll never forget.
Yeah.
And now not only has she teleported and caused herself to slowly die to sea, she then was ripped from her body, sent to another shard, and then had to do the same thing over there, and then use the same magic there that caused it the first.
Y'shtola has circumvented the Death Note at this point.
Yeah, what, you think she's just immortal at this point?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, she's basically cut her life in half, and now she's just circumvented that shit.
You can't split the atom, yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing about Y'shtola now is, like, the number of times she's escaped death, like, any thing that would kill her would feel like so, like, no, that can't kill Y'shtola.
She got slashed by Xenos right across the fucking chest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it'll be, I don't know. I think we're getting outside the scope of this discussion, but
no, it's just because we don't want to stop discussing it because it's the MSQ.
It's coming. It's coming.
Grab into all the threads. All right, but with that, I think we can leave some threads for Bajja because that is going to be the next big one. So we will of course do that. Ethys, before I go into the outro, when would you like to do Eorzivia?
When would I like to do Eorzivia?
Would you like to do one before and then do another one after Bajja, or would you like to do one after Bajja and combine it all?
Yeah, that's the tricky one, isn't it? I don't know. If we think Bajja is in 6 weeks, maybe we could do one right after. Maybe I've got enough beforehand.
I think you do. That's why I
definitely have enough now. I guess like chat, YouTube comments, let us know whether you'd like us to wait for Bajja or whether you're like really thirsting for an Eorzivia as ASAP as possible, huh?
Yeah, and I'm
certainly open to it.
I would love to include Ishgard, but based on how long the first Ishgard took to complete before we got the post
seems unlikely.
Quest, yes. Or I'm sorry, the second one, the previous one took to actually complete. It's hard pressed to think that we'll actually get that done and actually have all those quests and lore done. Yeah, everyone's afraid Sly and I are gonna forget.
We do that anyway. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we always get really good marks on Eorzivia.
Yeah, you'll have forgotten by next week, to be fair.
And then we'll study last minute and get some of it.
Remember, Eorzivia is not a test of our knowledge. It is a quiz for everyone watching, and you get to watch two idiots be wrong about it.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
It's for you guys.
Yeah. Sly didn't like being called an idiot. He's like, excuse me.
No.
Speak for yourself.
No. One day, I would like to get idiots other than us to do Eorzivia.
Well, we've had it, and then they're never idiots, Sly. They do really well, and we don't.
Yeah, that's true. We have done that. It's been a long time, but we did do that. Like I remember Pook
is in the chat right now with his dungeon gear lore.
Yeah, Pook destroyed you, jabronis.
Yeah.
And then I think like Frosty is like the counterweight. Frosty is the other end of the spectrum.
No, it was a Dodgio.
Yeah, we did have a Dodgio for that one.
Yeah, it was a Dodgio, and yeah.
Oh yeah,
is right. All right, Anyway, with that, it is time that we sign off for the day and move to a short post show since it's getting late where Ethys is, and I've had McDonald's in front of me for the last hour and a half, gradually nibbling on fries. I was like, one fry in my mouth and just quietly go. That's it. Just trying not to chew loudly. So at the start of the show, first of all, I mentioned SteelSeries sponsored this show. That's still the case at the end of the show, thankfully. So be sure to enter the monthly giveaways that we imagine they phoned me up. Now we changed our mind. That's it. So be sure to enter the monthly giveaways for SteelSeries. But I also mentioned that on the patron list, some names are missing because for some reason it's not pulling from the updated text file. I was let know by one of my patrons in this message right here. So I want to thank a few patrons by name since their names have not been scrolling. But if your name has been scrolling, thank you. Thank you for supporting. We had our elite sponsor, standard State of the Realm, but elite sponsor overall on patron. And that of Ivarin Kazama. I'm trying to read this from the other monitor and lean into the mic. There's Pogs. All right. We just saw smiling and I was like, there's Pogs, aren't there? There are Pogs. And then we had a bunch of premium sponsors across the board. We had Blazing, we had Ray, we had Kate, we had, I think this person actually gave me a name. No, we had a Zanini, and we had a Sylveon. And then also, I think somebody said their name was messed up. Mimikyu, Dance on Hyperion. I don't have the tier they're tied to, but they're going to be thanked here all the same. So thank you to all those people for being recent patrons or for letting me know that your name was absent from the list and that because it's not pulling from the right name. And also, of course, thank you to our patrons of Darkness, Khuja, on Jenova, and Kurenai Oni, who have gone above and beyond for their support. On Mondays, we have images. And I remembered to replace the image this week, Sly, but it's not going to show here because OBS just barely holds together for some reason with State of the Realm. And I don't want to tempt fate any more than I already have.
Hell yeah, you mad lads. Thank you so much for the support.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, we are reaching critical overpog. It's fine. It's going to be part of Emerald Weapon. All right. So with that, Ethys, thank you for educating us. Yeah.
Yeah, anytime. Like I was saying, my thoughts and my I guess the things that I know and the things that I may or may not have missed are going to evolve over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be putting out lore bombs on Ellentill and Azem in particular. I did a bunch of these at the beginning of Shadowbringers. If you guys didn't catch them, you know about the shards and the calamities and the Ascians and light and darkness and all that. So check those out. I'm also uploading my playthrough of the MSQ to YouTube in parts at the moment. We're going to have part 4 coming out. I'm going to basically queue it and upload it as soon as we're done here. So check that out if you want to see like my thoughts and reactions and, some like long form lore discussions about the MSQ as we play through it there. Of course, I stream several times a week on twitch.tv/EthysAsher. I make YouTube videos on youtube.com/EthysAsher, mostly 14 lore. We're going through the Tales of the Calamity as well. I'm doing like a discussion from everything we know about all the Tales of Calamity going right back from the beginning. So check those out as well. And follow me on Twitter. And thanks very much, everyone, for listening, for having me on. Once again, I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate the platform, and I appreciate having a chance to ramble about this stuff and crystallize my own thoughts, my own ideas. So, thank you, and I will pass you on to my good friend Sly.
As always, Ethys, thank you so much for coming on, Bay. Love you.
Anytime.
Love you, boo.
I love you too.
You can find me at twitch.tv/Sly, aka Great Fox. Twitter at Sly the Fox. Yeah. I get to be Sly Dad and teach y'all how to do some barbecue.
Yeah, you got to be real careful when you call yourself Dad because,
Sly Daddy! Sly
Barbecue Daddy. Your barbecue Daddy.
Mm. I do have my Southern Seas outfit in game. I have my Southern Seas outfit IRL.
Oh,
it's here.
When is this happening?
Tomorrow.
I
was going to do it today, but we ruined it. So
yes. What time?
So, okay. stream will start 12 p.m. I'm actually going to start cooking 12 a.m. tonight.
Is that Pacific?
So 9 a.m. Pacific.
9 a.m. Pacific.
Tomorrow. 12 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I'm going to start the brisket tonight. Around the time stream starts is when it should finish. And then I'm going to teach y'all how to do some ribs. And inject turkey breasts. And then make some I'll probably already have this going, but some red beans and rice and some macaroni and cheese.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm so excited.
Bring your beer.
Always bring the beer.
And get ready to have a good time. And happy. How you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing good. You can find me at my name, all the places. I'm working on a Realm Reborn revamped right now. We clocked in at 28 hours for all the Realm Reborn. For all of 2.0. For all of 2.0, we clocked in at 28 hours. That's 9 hours faster than the first time, and I actually went slower this time on purpose. So I didn't start teleporting much until level 45. So I really dragged that one out. So that's what our findings are so far. I got to post the part 2 video today, which will cover the first 24 to 26 hours. For reference, we went from before Hawk Manor to beating Garuda in 7 hours with watching every cutscene. So that's a pretty big metric because that covers the Titan quests, that covers Korthus, and that in its entirety with Hawk Manor, Brave Flocks, Garuda, Titan, and Stone Vigil all took 7 hours.
Damn.
So, and that solo queue is a DPS, as a reminder also. So, really stretched that time out as much as we could. And that's what our findings are, and that's what I'm going to be mostly posting this week. Also, Mortal Shell came out, so I'm playing through that on Twitch. The Rising is next week. Crystal Chronicles is next week. Which also means, by the way, Ethys, there's probably more Tales of the etc. for you to cover.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So we also have Yokai next week. I'm sorry, tomorrow. We have Yokai tomorrow. So, ready for it.
Get on with it.
Get on with it. Oh, I will. I'm going to get on with Yokai. So we've got a lot on the schedule, and I hope you're all looking forward to it. So with that, we're going to wrap up and move on to a short post show. So Ethys's partner doesn't yell at me on Twitter anymore about having to hear lore bombs.
She did.
Yeah, she should.
Oh my god.
And I hope you all have a good night and a good week. And we'll see you next week for. I think I know what next week's show is going to be about. So I'll DM you about it. I just got to find. I got to find us some guests for this one, most certainly. All right.
Okay.
But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you next week. And until then, take care.
See you next week.
Cheerio.
My outro won't swap. Now it is.